After all, she had delayed her lessons for 3 days. If she didn't use the back door, she might not be punished. After the guards passed the message, Yun Chujo entered Dean Gongsun's study room. Dean Gongsun had good ears and eyes. He already knew most of the things that had happened to Yun Chujo in the past few days. He couldn't help but be surprised. He didn't expect that in just a few days Mo Fangchao, no Yun Chujo had actually gone from a distant branch of a third-class family. She had suddenly become the daughter of a first-grade family, and was even rumored to be the favored child of the Tian Dao. It was really surprising. Yun Chujo bowed respectfully and took out Old Master Ye's personal letter, and handed it to Dean Gongsun. Originally, Old Master Yi wanted Yi Yuanliang to write this letter, but Yun Chujo was smart enough to beg Old Master Yi to write one. What a joke. Old Master Ye's face was much greater than Yi Yuanliang's. As expected, Dean Gongsun's expression turned solemn when he saw great-grandfather Ye's private seal on the envelope. After Dean Gongsun finished reading the letter, he pondered for a moment. Mo Yun Chujo, although there is a reason for this, you have also delayed 3 days of classes. According to the academy's rules, Dean Gongsun had yet to finish his words. Yun Chujo took out a jade box and placed it on the table. Great-grandfather Dean, this is the inner core of the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle that I accidentally obtained. My knowledge is limited, so it would be a waste to leave it with me. I'll give it to you. Although Dean Gongsun wasn't an ignorant person, the inner core of the 45th level three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle was priceless and couldn't be bought even if one had money. He was somewhat tempted. Yun Chujo was very shrewd. She knew that there was a reason for this when she saw the change in Dean Gongsun's expression. Then she said, actually, I'm giving you this inner core because I'm asking for your help. I know that you're good at refining pills. If you use it to refine pills in the future and give me a few, I'll be eternally grateful. All right. In the future when I refine pills, I'll give you a bottle. Even though you've delayed the course for 3 days, it happened too suddenly, and it wasn't under the control of manpower. Let's forget about it this time. It won't happen again. Dean Gongsun said seriously. Yes, I'll definitely strictly abide by the Academy's discipline in the future. Lord Dean, I'll take my leave then. Yun Chujo cursed in her heart. Sure enough, money could make the devil move the millstone. Dean Gongsun waved his hand. Yun Chujo then respectfully left Dean Gongsun's courtyard and strolled towards the dormitory. This fellow conveniently picked the fruit on the fruit tree by the roadside and chewed as he walked. It was currently lunchtime and there were many people on the road. However, when everyone saw Yun Chujo picking the fruit, they acted as if they didn't see it. What a joke. If they went to report it, they would be looking for trouble. Just as Yun Chujo was walking forward, Jinji and Xue Wuji ran over. Little Jiu, you're finally back. The three of them chatted and laughed as they walked towards the dormitory. At this moment they were blocked by someone. Yun Chujo looked and saw that the person who blocked the road was Zhu Jingtai and his followers. Mo Fangchao, don't think that you're so great just because you have points. I've asked around. Your family is just a distant branch of the Mo family. Do you know where I come from, young master? I'm from the Zhu family. Our Zhu family is a second-class family. If you don't satisfy me today, I'll make your Mo family suffer. The reason why Zhu Jingtai was acting like this was Shi Ruoxia's idea. Since there was no way to teach Yun Chujo a lesson, then she would use her family to threaten her. She would definitely give in. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. Zhu Jingtai's clamor naturally attracted a lot of onlookers. Mo Fangbing was among them. When she heard Zhu Jingtai's words, she squeezed out of the crowd and said to Zhu Jingtai, my mother is also a member of the Zhu family. Our Mo family and the Zhu family are in-laws. Let's forget about this matter. Zhu Jingtai glanced at Mo Fangbing. He sneered. Your mother is just a concubine's daughter. How can she be considered in-laws? Cut the crap. Mo Fangbing, if you kneel at my feet and kowtow to me 100 times, I will show mercy and spare you. Otherwise, not to mention that small branch of yours, even the original family of the Mo family will be in trouble. Mo Fangbing's face turned red from Zhu Jingtai's ridicule. She could not help but vent her anger on Yun Chujo. She stared at Yun Chujo coldly. Fangbing, the disaster was caused by you. You won't let the family be implicated by you, right? Yun Chuzhou glanced at Mo Fongbing and said, Sister Fongbing, according to your opinion, what should I do? I don't care what you do. Just don't implicate the family. Great-grandfather shouldn't have helped you manage the identity of a resident of the Eastern continent. He really raised an ingrate. Mo Fongbing glared at Yun Chuzhou with resentment. She originally thought that she wouldn't be implicated if she drew a clear line with her. She didn't expect that she would still be implicated. Zhu Jingtai said smugly from the side, Mo Fongchao, did you hear that? Your Mo family wishes to cut ties with you. You are really pitiful. Why aren't you kneeling down? Otherwise, the Mo family might remove you from the list. The surrounding people discussed animatedly. This Mo Fongchao was probably going to admit defeat this time. No matter how many points she had, how could she not care about the life and death of her family? Although that Zhu Jingtai was not a direct descendant of the Zhu family, his grandfather was a brother of the Zhu family's family head, so he could still have some say in the Zhu family. Mo Fongchao was only a distant descendant of a third-class family. Her status could be said to be very different. She had no other choice but to admit defeat. At this moment, the crowd saw that Yun Chuzhou actually giggled and laughed very happily. Is this guy crazy? Is he trying to pretend to be crazy to get out of this? He can only hide from Chuyi, but he can't hide from 15. Can he continue to pretend to be crazy? Just as everyone was thinking about it, they saw Yun Chuzhou take out an identity J token. You want to use your identity to pressure me? TSK. I originally thought that using your identity to pressure others wasn't something to be proud of. After all, people can't decide where you come from. However, since you are willing to do this, I can only follow your example. Here, open your dog eyes and look at this identity J token. Look at my current identity. Zhu Jingtai did not even look at the jade token in Yun Chuzhou's hand. He curled his lips and said, You are really boasting shamelessly. What other identity can you have? Aren't you just a distant relative of the Mo family? You even have a jade token. You really overestimate yourself. Yun Chuzhou didn't argue with him. She pointed at a student and said, Come here. Help him take a look at this jade token. The student who was pointed at took the jade token casually. However, when he saw the material and content of the jade token, his hand trembled. His eyes were wide open and his mouth was wide open. He couldn't say a word. Seeing this, Zhu Jingtai said with even more disdain, I guess no one has seen your identity jade token in the Western continent. Don't embarrass yourself by taking it out. Hearing Zhu Jingtai's words, the student shook his head repeatedly and cried out in surprise, No. Yi family, first class, first wife, daughter. Occasionally missing content. Please report errors in time. What nonsense are you talking about? Li Huan, go and see what's going on. Zhu Jingtai glared at the student and said to one of his lackeys behind him. The student called Li Huan took a step forward and snatched the jade token from the student's hand. He muttered, You're really ignorant. It's just a lower-class jade token from the Western continent. It's worth it for you. Li Huan's voice came to an abrupt stop. He looked as if he had seen a ghost and said in horror, This the identity jade token of the first-class Yi family? The first-class daughter? How could you be the first-class daughter of the Yi family? Yun Chuzhou only curled the corners of her mouth and did not say anything. Zhu Jingtai could not hold it in any longer. He snatched the jade token and took a look. On the front of the jade token was written first-class family Yi, and behind it was written second-class daughter of the first-class family Jiu. Zhu Jingtai's face was filled with fear at first, then he laughed coldly as if he had suddenly realized something. Mo Fongchao, you actually stole the Yi family's identity jade token. You're dead meat. Yun Chuzhou looked at him as if she was looking at an idiot. Then, she took out the identity document from her storage ring and handed it to Li Huan. You, read it out for everyone to hear. It's just the right time for everyone to get to know me, Yun Chuzhou once again. Li Huan took the identity document and read it nervously. The original third-class family, Guangshunji Mo Fongchao, has been applied by the first-class family, the Yi family. Now she is the second daughter of the Yi family's second son, Yiying. Her name has been changed to Yun Chuzhou. After reading it, Li Huan felt his legs go weak. He returned the identity document to Yun Chuzhou while trembling. Miss Yoon, I don't know anything. Please don't lower yourself to my level. Just treat me as a fart and let me go. Yoon Chujo ignored him and said to everyone clearly, everyone, I believe you have heard it clearly. From now on, there will be no more black fragrant grass in this world. There will only be me, Yoon Chujo. Don't worry. Although I accidentally became the first-class Yi family's first-class daughter, I have never cared about bullying others. However, if someone wants to compare family background with me and use my family to bully me, then I'm sorry, I can only return a tooth for a tooth. Yoon Chujo said. Until here she sneered at Zhu Jingtai. Zhu Jingtai, am I right? Your Zhu family is a second-class family, so powerful I'm so scared. Didn't you want to destroy my family? I'll send a message to the Yi family right now, saying that your Zhu family wants to destroy the Yi family and get them ready. Otherwise it would be terrible if they were really destroyed by your Zhu family. Zhu Jingtai was already scared silly. He kept shaking his head. No, it's impossible. These things of yours must be fake. You can't be the direct daughter of the Yi family. How could the Yi family inherit a good for nothing like you for no reason? At this moment, a student in the crowd said, what she said is true. I also just heard the news. Yoon Chujia's mother is the granddaughter of Old Master Yi. Moreover, Yoon Chujo was not only adopted to the second branch of the Yi family, but she is also said to be the favored child of Tian Dao. Now the first-class families in the Eastern continent have already received the news. I'm afraid that your Zhu family isn't qualified enough. That's why you don't know about this news. That student was related to a first-class family, so he only received the news. At this moment, his words couldn't help but contain some complacency. Zhu Jingtai's face instantly turned deathly pale. His head buzzed. The Yi family was the outstanding person in a first-class family. Their Zhu family was only a second-class family, not to mention that he wasn't even a direct descendant. If the Yi family were to pursue this matter, perhaps the Zhu family would remove him in order to avoid being implicated. The more Zhu Jingtai thought about it, the more afraid he became. Bean-sized beads of sweat dripped down from his forehead. His legs went soft and he collapsed onto the ground. Occasionally missing content. Please report errors in time. Yoon Chujo had a faint smile on her face. She stared at Zhu Jingtai without saying anything. This kind of uncertain fear was even more torturous. When the situation was in a stalemate, a person walked over and slapped Zhu Jingtai twice. Idiot! Why aren't you apologizing to Junior Yoon? Brother, why did you hit me? Zhu Jingtai looked at the person in shock. The person who came had a pair of Diao Xiaoyan. It was Zhu Jingtai's brother Zhu Jingtong. Cut the crap. Why aren't you apologizing to Junior Yoon? Zhu Jingtong gave Zhu Jingtai a look. Zhu Jingtai could only say dryly, I'm sorry. If saying sorry can solve the problem, then am I the one who killed you? Saying sorry is fine too? Yoon Chujo mocked. Then what do you want? Zhu Jingtai was angry and afraid. On one hand he resented Yoon Chujo and on the other hand he resented Shi Luoxia who gave him advice. What did you say to me before? You want me to kneel down and kowtow 100 times, right? Then do it now. That person, help him count. Not a single one less. Yoon Chujo pointed casually. She was referring to that Li Huan. Li Huan nodded and bowed as he quickly agreed. Yes. Don't worry, I promise to count properly. I won't let him miss a single kowtow. Zhu Jingtai glared at Li Huan. Li Huan spread his hands helplessly. There was nothing he could do. The person in front of him was his ancestor. As for you, get lost. Yoon Chujo, don't go too far. I don't believe that the Yi family will really go against the Zhu family just because of you. Zhu Jingtai said while clenching his teeth. Yoon Chujo curled her lips. Then let's try. After saying that, Yoon Chujo made a move to leave, but unexpectedly, Zhu Jingtong kicked the crook of Zhu Jingtai's leg and then pressed Zhu Jingtong's head to kowtow to Yoon Chujo. Li Huan, who was at the side, quickly counted loudly. 1, 2, 3. 99, 100. Junior Yoon Jingtai already knows that he's wrong. What do you think about this? Zhu Jingtong asked carefully. If he doesn't provoke me again, I won't bother to find trouble with him. However, if he goes to court death, I'll let your Zhu family die with him. After Yoon Chujo finished speaking, she left with Shui Wuji and Jin Ji. Zhu Jingtai glared at Zhu Jingtong with resentment and staggered far away. Zhu Jingtong frowned and chased after her. The people who were left behind immediately exploded. Oh my god! This Mo Fengchao, I know this Yun Chuzhou was simply lucky. She actually went from a distant branch of a third-class family to the daughter of a first-class family. This is simply like a sparrow turning into a phoenix. Yeah, it really makes people envious. The Yi family is ranked near the top even among first-class families. She already has so many points, and now that her identity has changed, won't she be even more arrogant in the future? Sigh. Yun Chuzhou and the other two went to Yun Chujia's dormitory. Yun Chuzhou told them about the Yi family, and then took out the things she bought in Yi City to give to the two of them. Little sister Jiu, according to what you said, I'm afraid that Ge Shi and Lu Shi won't listen to Yi Wenhong's advice and will find trouble with you in the future. What do you plan to do? Xue Wuji crossed his legs and asked carelessly. What else can we do? Well, deal with whatever comes our way. I'm just an heir. Do you think that old master Yi will really divorce Ge Shi and Lu Shi for me or something? It's simply impossible. The family head of these large families will always put the family's interests first, Yun Chuzhou said with slight ridicule. Little Zhou, if that's the case, then you should go to the Yi family less in the future. They won't go to the extent of treating you badly in the academy, Jinji said from the side. Beauty Jinji, you're wrong. Xingtian Academy isn't like Tianyuan Academy. Ge Shi and Lu Shi won't need much effort to do anything here. So, I still have to go to the Yi family. Not only do I have to go, but I also have to go often. Have you heard of the word nibbling? Nibbling. I want to dissolve their influence in the Yi family bit by bit, and wear down old Master Yes' patience with them bit by bit. You guys also have to work hard in your cultivation. When the Primordial Chaos sect opens to recruit disciples next year, let's go take the exam. Xue Wuji and Jinji were both stunned. Little sister Jiu, doesn't the Xingtian Academy take 5 years to graduate? Why do you want to go to the Primordial Chaos sect again? Besides, the Primordial Chaos sect is a super sect. Can we get in? Who cares if we get in or not? Let's go and try. Of course, it's best if we get in. If we don't, we can come back to the Xingtian Academy and continue studying, Yun Chuzhou said indifferently. Jinji was elated. Little Zhou, what you said is easy. If we were to go to the Primordial Chaos sect to participate in the entrance exam, it would probably take us 2 months to go back and forth and take the exam. Can Xingtian Academy give us such a long vacation? Yun Chuzhou leaned back on the chair and curled her lips. Everything is done by man. There's nothing impossible in this world. If you can't do it, it's only because you haven't found the right method. Leave this matter to me. It's only true that you guys should quickly increase your spiritual power. Although Xue Wuji and Jinji still didn't quite believe it, when they thought of this pervert's glorious past, they also believed it a little. In the following period of time, Yun Chuzhou was simply a school bully in Xingtian Academy. Not to mention the first-grade students, even the higher-grade students avoided her. What a joke. This fellow had the temperament of a bandit. Now that she had the identity of the Yi family's first daughter, if she was provoked, she would simply be looking for trouble. Even the first-grade star class teacher Dong restrained himself a lot. He no longer ridiculed Yun Chuzhou and the other two, but he still ignored them. Whether it was asking questions in class or answering questions, Yun Chuzhou and the other two had never been involved. He had said many times to other teachers behind their backs, "Che, that Yun Chuzhou just got lucky. She won't have any great prospects in the future." In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Yun Chuzhou felt that she should go to the Yi family for a stroll. Otherwise, old Master Yi would probably forget about her. However, the plan did not change quickly. On this day, Teacher Dong announced that the first test after entering the school would be held the next day. The last 30 students of the entire grade would be expelled. Occasionally missing content, please report errors in time. When the students of the star class heard the news, they all looked at Yun Chuzhou and the other two at the same time. Yun Chuzhou turned her head and glanced at the crowd. Those people immediately lowered their heads or looked away like mice seeing a cat. However, they all had a thought in their hearts. Yun Chuzhou, the 3 black sheep, was finally going to be disqualified. It was really a good thing for everyone. Teacher Dong clearly thought the same. He raised his voice and said, "Some students shouldn't think that they have special privileges just because their family background is superior to others. If they are ranked in the bottom 30 in this test, even a person from a first-class family will be expelled." Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. He was talking about her. She was the only person from a first-class family in Xingtian Academy. It seemed that this teacher Dong was not that snobbish. Of course, perhaps his snobbish eyes were different from ordinary people. They were not targeted at wealth and family background, but at the level of spiritual power. "Teacher Dong, what are the contents of our test this time?" a student asked. "I don't know either. The contents of every test in the academy are kept confidential to prevent you from making preparations in advance," Teacher Dong replied. Yun Chujio cursed silently in her heart. It was quite mysterious. This fellow had a little bit of anticipation in his heart. This time she would let these scumbags see that she was not only a top student in the academy, but also a top student. The next day, the first-year students gathered at the Divine Axe Plaza. They were both nervous and expectant as they waited for Dean Gong's son to announce the contents of the test. You all probably know that our Heaven Punisher Academy got its name because of the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe. Your test this time is related to the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe. The Heaven Punisher Divine Axe is a divine weapon, and divine weapons aren't refined by cultivators. They are born and bred. You are going to the birthplace of the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe, the Heaven Pit of the Divine Axe. Your task is to collect the outer shell fragments that were removed when the Divine Axe was first born. The number of outer shell fragments you collect is your result. 3 people will form a group, and the last 10 groups will be expelled from the academy. The test period is 10 days. Dean Gong's son added a few more rules. It was nothing more than a ban on using talismans, prohibiting flying and forbidding snatching. If they were in danger, they would be able to activate the jade tokens that were given to them later. Yun Chujio muttered in her heart. So it turned out that the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe was like a demonic beast, jumping out of an egg? She didn't know if the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe was in the Heaven Punisher Academy. It would be great if she had the chance to obtain it. Just as Yun Chujio's thoughts were running wild, she saw Dean Gong's son and a few vice deans surrounding the statue of the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe and forming a formation. At the same time, a teacher gave them jade tokens to use when they were in danger. Yun Chujio looked at the jade token that was given to them and saw that it said 105. This was probably their group number. Yun Chujio had suffered a loss from this jade plate before. So she threw this jade plate to the teacher and changed it to a jade plate with number 106 instead. The teacher dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. He thought to himself, this Yun Chujio is really crazy. Could it be that 106 is more pleasing to the eye? The teacher had no choice but to re-register and then handed out the jade plate with a gloomy face. When one of the people saw this scene, his eyes could not help but shrink. This damned girl was too shrewd. She actually switched out the jade token. However, what she did not know was that the jade token was not tampered with. What was tampered with was a teleportation array. At that time, even if the jade token in her hand was good, and the corresponding teleportation array was not activated, they would still die. At this time, the godly axe statue actually moved away slowly. There was a white light on the spot. It seemed to be a teleportation array. The students walked into the teleportation array according to their class. Yun Chujio and the other 2 also walked in. When Yun Chujio regained her sight, she realized that she was in a huge deep pit. When she looked up, she could barely see the edge of the pit wall. The wall of the pit was as smooth as a mirror, but the bottom of the pit formed a world of its own. They were in a barren land, and not far away was a grassland. In the distance it seemed to be a dense forest. Dean Gong's son showed everyone the shell fragments of the Divine Axe. They were made of a material that looked like stone but not stone. It was able to emit a faint golden light, making it easy to identify. Everyone began to search according to the group. There was basically no hope of finding this wasteland because the field of vision here was very wide. If there were any fragments of the Divine Axe's shell, they would be able to see it at a glance. Yun Chujio and the other 2 were not in a hurry. They had 10 days anyway, so it was not bad to let everyone scout the way first. There might be some strange demonic beasts in this ancient deep pit, so it was better to be careful. Yun Chujo walked to the edge of the stone wall and knocked on it. This stone wall is quite similar to the stone wall of the Heavenly Tao Cliff. I wonder what kind of scene is on it. If it was not forbidden to fly, I would really like to fly up and take a look. Jinji rolled her eyes. I guess it is to prevent people from climbing up, so this place is forbidden to fly. Just give up. Yun Chuji's eyes lit up. A place that was afraid of people would definitely have good stuff. If it was forbidden to fly, others would not be able to fly up, but she had sticky silk. She could climb up. Then the question came, should she climb up or not? If it was in the past, this guy might have climbed up because he was obsessed with money. However, after the honey incident last time, this guy had learned that nothing was more important than his life. Jinji knew this guy too well. She glared at her and said, "Don't even think about it. Let's go and find the shell fragments of the divine axe." Yun Chujo pouted and could only follow Jinji and Shui Wuji. This guy mumbled as he walked. "Do you think the academy is sick? What can the broken shell fragments of the Heaven Punisher divine axe do? Is it because the shell is good-looking? I think it's not as good-looking as the luminous pearls." Yun Chuji's eyes lit up when she said this. She remembered that Teacher Pang had promised her that if she got first place in the test, he would reward her with 5 luminous pearls. The guy was immediately energized. Regardless of whether the broken shell pieces were useful or not, she had to get first place. Perhaps because there were students scouting ahead, Yun Chujo and the others did not encounter any high-level demon beasts 2 days ago. However, they did not find a piece of the shell pieces of the axe. What Yun Chujo and the others did not know was that a large screen had been erected in the Divine Axe Square. On it were the numbers of each team and the number of pieces of the Divine Axe's shell fragments that they had found. Some teams had already found 5 pieces of the shell fragments. Most of them had found 1 to 3 pieces of the shell fragments. Only a few teams had not found a single piece of the shell fragment. As expected, Team 106 was among them. Teacher Dong pursed his lips and said, "How was it? I told you that Yun Chujo was a good-for-nothing, right? What Heavenly Tao's favorite? Maybe she was just making up a lie." It had to be said that Teacher Dong was telling the truth. A certain Joe was indeed making up a lie. It could only be said that the person who understood you the most was your enemy. This it shouldn't be, right? At that time, many people were present. Moreover, this test had only started for 2 days. Perhaps Yun Chujo and the others would make a comeback later on. After all, during the entrance test, they would only make a comeback at the last stage every time. Teacher Peng disagreed. Another 3 days passed. Not only did Yun Chujo and the others not find a fragment of the priest's shell, they didn't even touch a single one. The 3 of them thought that the dense forest was the end of the godly axe pit. Unexpectedly, when they passed through the dense forest, they found that there was a valley in front of them. Looking into the distance, they still couldn't see the end. This godly axe pit is really big. Where did those people go? Why didn't we meet any team? Jinji said in confusion. That's right. Although we walked a little slower, it's not to the extent that we can't see any team, right? Shui Wuji frowned and felt that something was wrong. Yun Chujo was stunned at first. She felt that this time it seemed to be a familiar smell and formula. Could it be that they were isolated again? Could it be that the Godly Axe Valley had also produced a Qi-Ling? Couldn't be, right? If the Godly Axe Valley had produced a Qi-Ling, why would they allow everyone to search for the shell fragments of the Godly Axe? They should have hidden everything long ago. Then what exactly was going on? The 3 of them discussed for a while, but they couldn't come to a conclusion. Yun Chujo even deliberately provoked and cursed the so-called Qi-Ling a few times, but there was no result. The teachers in the Divine Axe Square looked at the changes in the data on the big screen and chatted from time to time. This batch of students seems to be very lucky. They found more than the previous few times. Yeah, they probably found the right place by coincidence. The students of the day class are indeed better. Most of the groups ranked at the front are from the day class. That's right. It seems that aptitude is very important. For example, Yun Chujo and the other 2. 5 days have passed, but they still haven't found a single one. I guess they will most likely be expelled. Teacher Dong listened from the side. If it were in the past, he might not be happy when others talked about the students of the star class having poor aptitude. But now, when he heard that Yoon Choo-jo and the other two would be eliminated, he was actually very happy. It would be better if those 3 black sheep were expelled. Teacher Pang stroked his beard. He didn't know if that little girl, Yoon Choo-jo, would create another miracle this time. He was really looking forward to it. A certain Jo, whom Teacher Pang had placed high hopes on, was currently doing her ideological work. Brother Wooji Beauty Jinji, you've all seen the current situation. We've definitely been scammed. Although we don't know who scammed us, it has only one purpose, and that is to prevent us from finding the fragment. If we want to break this deadlock, there's only one way, and that is to climb up. Shue Wooji and Jinji hesitated for a moment and agreed to Yoon Choo-ji's suggestion. If they did not break down, they would not be able to establish themselves. If they continued to search below, they might really have to return empty-handed. The 3 of them found a stone wall. Yoon Choo-jo had made a lot of sand from the Great Void Mystic Realm and laid it under the stone wall. In this way, even if they really fell down, they would at least be able to keep their lives. Although Shue Wooji and Jinji were shocked that Yoon Choo-jo had taken out so much sand, they did not pay too much attention to it when they thought that there was even a big rock in this storage ring. After Yoon Choo-jo had laid out the sand, she then gave Shue Wooji and Jinji a lot of sticky silk. The 3 of them began to climb up the stone wall. The 3 of them climbed for a full 10 hours. From dawn till sunset, they finally reached the top of the stone wall. However, when the 3 of them saw the situation before them, they could not help but be greatly disappointed. They originally thought that there would be many fragments of the Divine Axe's outer shell on it, but they did not expect that there were many stones on the ground, but they were all ordinary stones. Other than the rocks on the ground, there were also many rocks of different sizes. The big ones were a few feet tall, while the small ones were only the size of a thumb. There were strange rocks all over the ground, and the whole place was desolate. There was not even a hint of life. Yoon Choo-jo climbed onto a big rock and looked into the distance. Everything was the same except for the rocks. This guy couldn't help but feel frustrated. He had spent a lot of effort and almost fainted from exhaustion. He didn't even get a shard of the shell. He was really unlucky. The 3 of them originally planned to climb down, but it was getting late. They decided to sleep on the top of the mountain for a night and climb down the next day. The moon rose and the light gently covered the entire deep pit. Yoon Choo-jo was about to take out the universal tent to sleep when she heard a movement below the cliff. It seemed that someone was calling for help. Yoon Choo-jo frowned. Could it be that someone had encountered a high-level demon beast? If they had encountered a high-level demon beast, wouldn't it be over? Was there a need to shout so loudly? Was it a bitter scene? Shue Wooji and Jinji also heard the movement. The 3 of them looked at each other, then quietly went to the side of the stone wall and looked down. Fortunately, it was the 15th night, and the moon was round and bright, so the 3 of them could see the general situation below. They saw a person stumbling in front of them, screaming for help while running, and behind him was a person emitting red light? Perhaps it could not be called a person because that thing seemed to be floating more like a remnant soul. Kiki, little ant, where are you running to? I've just awakened my intelligence, and you fresh blood slaves have come to my door. The heavens are really helping me. The person who was running in front saw that there was no hope of escaping, so he knelt on the ground. God spare me. God spare me. As long as you let me go, I'll do anything you want. God? Pooey. I'm not that kind of useless thing. I'm a Shuemo. Back then, I was suppressed by the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe, and my soul was almost destroyed. Fortunately, the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe went missing and I was able to save my life. Now fresh blood slaves like you have come to my doorstep. This is a good opportunity for me to make a comeback. Master Shuemo, please spare my life. Master Shuemo, please spare my life. As long as you let me go, I will definitely find more living people for you to enjoy. The man said with a trembling voice. Yoon Choo-jo felt that this voice was somewhat familiar. It seemed to be Zhu Jingtai's voice. Shuemo laughed strangely. Don't lie to me. I used the fragments of the godly axe's shell to attract you guys. Not a single fish escaped from the net. Where are you going to find fresh blood slaves for me? No. No. There are still 3 people who haven't been captured by you. One of them has a mutated wind spirit root, and the other one has a heavenly thunder spirit root. Their blood will definitely be very nutritious. I'll help you find them. Please don't kill me. Zhu Jingtai begged while kowtowing. Shui Mo's hand suddenly expanded and grabbed Zhu Jingtai's clothes. What did you say? There's another heavenly thunder spirit root? Where is he? She should have fallen behind. The 3 of them have low spiritual power, so they probably don't dare to walk too fast for fear of being attacked by demonic beasts. Master Shui Mo, what I said is true. Please spare me. Humph. Take me to them. If you find them, I will let you become the leader of the blood slaves and stop sucking your blood. If you can't find them, I will kill you directly. Shui Mo said sinisterly. Zhu Jingtai repeatedly promised, don't worry, they definitely won't be able to escape from your grasp. Not only is that wretched girl a heavenly thunder spirit root, I heard that she is also the darling of the Tian Dao. Her blood must taste very good. Jia, I don't care if she is a darling or not. As long as she is a heavenly thunder spirit root, I will definitely drink her blood. Let's go, quickly bring me to find them. It was not until the figures of Shui Mo and Zhu Jingtai disappeared that Yun Chuzhou and the other 2 dared to quietly leave the stone wall. They ran for a long distance before they stopped. The 3 of them were shocked. It was the first time they heard that there were demons in this world. Didn't they say that demons had been extinct for hundreds of thousands of years? Why would there be one here? The first reaction of the 3 people was to activate the Jade token, wanting to get out. However, after they discovered that they had activated the Jade token, there was no reaction at all. It must be that Shui Mo did something. Otherwise, the others would have escaped long ago. Yun Chuzhou said with a frown. Then what should we do now? Although that Shui Mo wouldn't be able to find us for a while, from what it said, it was determined to get little Jiu. Perhaps it would find a loophole and climb up to catch us. Jinji said with concern. Yun Chuzhiu's eyes flashed with a trace of sternness. There's only one way now, and that's to strike first and find those trapped people. Only by gathering all of our strength can we have a glimmer of hope to kill Shui Mo. Shui Wuji nodded. I agree with little Jiu. Shui Mo and Zhu Jingtai will need at least 2 to 3 days to search the entire Divine Axe pit. As long as we hurry up, we can find the place where the others are trapped. Jinji felt that it was a bit risky, but there was no better way, so she could only nod in agreement. According to the difference in strength between Zhu Jingtai and Shui Mo, the place where those people are trapped must not be far from here. But if we use sticky wires to climb down, it will be a waste of time. Let's use the rope to swing down. Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes and said, Little Jiu, but this rope has to be fixed somewhere. There aren't any big trees here, so how can we use it to fix the rope? Jinji looked around. There were only rocks and stones on the ground, so there was no way to fix the rope. Yun Chuzhou curled the corner of her mouth and pulled out Xiaohei. Then she said, Let Mickey help us pull one end of the rope, and then we'll swing down one by one. Shui Wuji and Jinji were dumbfounded. Xiaohei, are you sure you're not joking? This Xiaohei was not even a foot long. How could it bear the weight of a person? Yun Chuzhou did not explain. She directly took out a bundle of rope and handed one end to Xiaohei. The other end was tied to her waist. Then she swung it down the stone wall. Jinji and Shui Wuji almost cried out in shock. This Xiaohei was really audacious. Wasn't he courting death? The 2 of them were about to help Xiaohei with the rope, but they were surprised to find that Xiaohei was completely at ease. It calmly grabbed the rope with its 2 front claws and sat on the ground without moving at all. All right. A perverted spiritual pet was indeed perverse. Not long after, Yun Chuzhou swung onto the ground and then untied the rope around her waist. After Xiaohei pulled the rope up, it successively pulled Jinji and Shui Wuji down as well. Finally, Xiaohei released the rope. After Yun Chuzhou put the rope away, she placed dozens of sacks of talisman paper on the sand. Only then did Xiaohei jump down. Xiaohei was very light, and the floor was very thick, so Xiaohei landed on the ground safely. After Yun Chuzhou put Xiaohei into the spirit beast bag, she put the sand and talisman paper into her storage ring. After making sure that there was nothing wrong, the three of them carefully walked forward. Fortunately, there are many weeds under the stone wall. Otherwise, the sand would definitely expose us. It was so close, Yun Chuzhou said softly as she walked. Xue Wuji and Jinji were also very happy. If it weren't for the sudden urge of little Zhou to climb up the stone wall, they would have been caught by the blood demon at this time. The three of them walked for an hour and didn't find anything unusual. Yun Chuzhou stopped. No, logically speaking, Zhu Jingtai can't have run that far. We must have missed something. We'll continue to look for him later. After a while, Jinji said excitedly, "Here. There's something wrong here." Yun Chuzhou and Xue Wuji looked in the direction that Jinji was pointing at. It was an ancient tree and it didn't seem like there was anything wrong with it. Xue Wuji looked at Jinji in confusion. "Jinji, what's wrong? It doesn't have a shadow." Jinji pointed at the ground and said. Yun Chuzhou and Xue Wuji took a look. Sure enough, there was no shadow on this huge ancient tree. This was obviously abnormal. This meant that this ancient tree didn't really exist. It was just an illusion to cover the entrance. Yun Chuzhou's heart skipped a beat. She used her spiritual sense and said, "Glass ball, all you do is eat all day. Now is the time for you to play your role. Hurry up and tell me, where is the entrance?" The black beet trembled lazily. Then, Yun Chuzhou felt her spiritual sense suddenly become clear. She waved at Xue Wuji and Jinji, indicating for them to follow behind her. Xue Wuji and Jinji followed Yun Chuzhou in all directions, as if they were walking in circles. However, they were surprised to find that the scene in front of them had changed. There were no big trees at all. Instead, there was a deep tunnel. One could vaguely smell the nauseating smell of blood. Yun Chuzhou took out the luminous bead to illuminate the tunnel. She saw that both sides of the tunnel were scattered with dried demon beast corpses. She thought to herself, no wonder she did not encounter any high-level demon beasts on the way. It turned out that they were all sucked dry by the Xuemo. She didn't know whether those students were dead or not, but from the Xuemo's words it seemed like it was keeping them to slowly drink blood. Probably hadn't killed them yet. The three of them were afraid that the Xuemo would return, so they sped up and finally reached the end of the tunnel. At the end of the tunnel was a wide stone hall. There were several stone rooms around the stone hall. Inside were the first-year students of Xingtian Academy. Maybe they're afraid of pain. I'll give it a try. Jinji took out a needle and stabbed Mo Fangbing's arm. Jinji would never admit that she did it on purpose. She simply hated this Mo Fangbing to death. If it wasn't for little Zhou, would she have been able to enter Xingtian Academy? Little Zhou was even prepared to let Mo Fangbing move into her courtyard. In the end, the other party actually took the initiative to draw a line between them. What was more hateful was that when Zhu Jingtai and little Zhou were arguing, she actually hit them while they were down. What an ingrate! She probably knew that little Zhou had been adopted to the Yi family as the daughter of the first wife, and her intestines were turning green with regret. She deserved it. Jinji fiercely stabbed her a few times, but Mo Fangbing was still in a daze. She couldn't even feel the pain. Just as Yun Chuzhou and the other two were frowning, the sound of walking could be heard from the tunnel. The three of them were shocked. It was over. Xuemo must have returned. What should they do? Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes. The three of them dragged Mo Fangbing to the innermost part of the stone chamber. Then they pushed the others to the front to cover up the water stains on the ground. The three of them lowered their heads and pretended to be as stunned as the others. Xuemo walked into the stone chamber and threw Zhu Jingtai on the ground. Strange. I clearly felt that someone touched the array. How could there be no one? Zhu Jingtai knelt down and crawled a few steps. Master Xuemo, it might be Yun Chuzhou and the other two. They must be nearby, you can catch them soon. Ichim, what you said makes sense. But I'm hungry, I'll drink some blood first, then I'll go out to look for them. Xuemo waved his hand as he spoke, and a student flew to his side. He grabbed him and bit down on the student's neck. A moment later, The student was thrown back into the stone room, and another student was grabbed by Shuemo to suck his blood. After a total of 10 students, Shuemo used his tongue to lick the blood on the side of his mouth. Jie, if I didn't want to drink for a longer period of time, I would have sucked them dry. Zhu Jingtai was already trembling. Shuemo kicked him and said, "Useless thing. If you want to become the leader of the blood slaves, you have to drink blood too. You go and get someone. Drink a few mouthfuls of his blood, or I will kill you." Zhu Jingtai stood up and walked to the door of a stone room. However, he realized that all the students were from the day class, so he couldn't bring himself to do it. Therefore, he turned around and walked towards the stone room of the star class. Yun Chujia's heart was like a beeping dog. This damn Zhu Jingtai. There were a total of 10 stone rooms here. Which one of them was bad? Why did he have to choose this stone room? Zhu Jingtai walked to the door of the stone room where Yun Chujio and the others were. He trembled and grabbed a student. He tried a few times, but he still couldn't make a move. Shuemo was impatient. "Useless thing. If you still don't make a move, I'll suck you dry first." Zhu Jingtai gritted his teeth and took out a dagger. "I was forced to. I'll only drink a few mouthfuls of your blood. It won't kill you. Don't blame me." As Zhu Jingtai spoke, he held the dagger in his hand and was about to cut the student's neck, but he suddenly stopped. He shouted excitedly, "Master Shuemo! Master Shuemo! Something is wrong here. There is water on the ground. It must be Yun Chujio and the other two." Yun Chujio gritted her teeth in anger. If Shuemo found them later, she would not do anything else but kill Zhu Jingtai first. Mo Fongbing did not dare to say anything more and quickly followed her instructions. The students who were woken up followed suit and started to save the other students. Yun Chujio asked while saving the students, "How did you all get caught by that Shuemo?" Mo Fongbing told them what had happened. These students were attracted by the fragments of the Heaven Punisher axe. They found the fragments near the cave and were driven into the tunnel by greed. When they reached the tunnel, they were subdued by Shuemo in batches. "How did Zhu Jingtai escape?" Yun Chujio asked in confusion. He was going to come in, but he had a stomachache, so he was a little late. "He probably saw our situation and ran away," said Li Huan, who helped Yun Chujio to count. "When that Shuemo sprayed the poisonous fog, would you be affected immediately? Or would you need to wait for a while? How many people would be affected by its poisonous fog once?" Yun Chujio continued to ask. "The body will slowly stiffen about 15 minutes. It can cover a distance of 40 to 50 zhang with its poisonous fog once. If it's outside the attack range, it won't be affected," Li Huan said eagerly. Yun Chujio nodded. Based on her initial judgment, that Shuemo didn't wake up for a long time. Otherwise, the students from the Heaven Punisher Academy wouldn't be safe. Since he had just awakened, his strength was definitely still very weak. If everyone worked together, their chances of winning were still very high. An hour later, everyone in the stone hall returned to normal. Yun Chujio said solemnly, "Everyone, you've all seen it. That Shuemo isn't something that we can deal with alone or with a few people. We must unite. As long as we work together, we can definitely kill it. Don't think that you can get away with anything. Our jade tokens are no longer effective. In this deep pit, we are like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. If we are a pile of loose sand, we can only be slaughtered." Li Huan immediately echoed, "Miss Yun, our lives were saved by you. We will do whatever you say." With someone taking the lead, the rest of the people also expressed their stance, indicating that they were willing to listen to Yun Chujia's arrangements. Even if some people, such as Zhai Shanshan, were not willing, they did not dare to have any objections at this moment for the sake of their own lives. "All right. Since you insist, I will reluctantly agree to your request. But let's be clear. If anyone does not listen to my orders, don't blame me for being ruthless." Yun Chujio straightened her back. Her sharp eyes swept across everyone. Everyone felt that Yun Chujio's gaze seemed to have substance. They could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. The people who had some petty schemes immediately scared away those thoughts. The space here is narrow. It's advantageous to us. Let's rush out. Everyone did not dare to have any objections. They followed Yun Chujo out of the tunnel and arrived outside. Yun Chujo felt that Shui Mo and Zhu Jingtai must have returned to that dense forest to look for them. If they failed to find them, they would return by the same route. Therefore, setting up an ambush along the path that they had to pass was the best choice. Thinking of this, Yun Chujo chose a shrub and asked everyone to spread out and hide in the shrub. Bring this thing with you and put the upper clear heart pill in your mouth. You can last for at least 15 minutes. When attacking, try to use long-range attacks. If someone is poisoned, your companions will immediately stuff the pill into his mouth. Do you hear me? Yun Chujo took out a self-made gas mask painfully. She distributed it to everyone. There were only a few dozen gas masks left in Yun Chujia's storage ring. It was obviously not enough. Yun Chujo asked everyone to make their own gas masks. There was no charcoal powder. She asked them to put some mind-clearing herbs or hay inside. In short, they could more or less play a role. Just as the east was about to turn white, Shui Mo carried Zhu Jingtai and rushed back from afar. Yun Chujo could not help but have a thought. She heard that vampires were afraid of the sun. Could it be that Shui Mo was also afraid of the sun? That was why he rushed back? Occasionally missing content. Please report errors in time. Yun Chujo was afraid that Shui Mo would discover their ambush, so she deliberately walked a mile forward in order to attract Shui Mo's attention. When Shui Mo was about to reach Yun Chujia's hiding place, he suddenly stopped and laughed strangely. Who's sneaking around there? Come out now. It must be the girl with the heavenly thunder spirit root. Yun Chujo rolled her eyes and jumped out with her gas mask. Hey! Why are you looking for me, you blood-sucking old bat? Zhu Jingtai pointed at Yun Chujo and said obsequiously to Shui Mo, Master Shui Mo, she is Yun Chujo with the heavenly thunder spirit root. Please catch her. Kiki, it's so easy to find her. I've been looking for you for a whole night, and you came to me of your own accord. What a good fortune. Shui Mo spat out poisonous mist at Yun Chujo as he spoke. He thought that Yun Chujo would lose her ability to move and eventually become his blood slave. Sure enough, Yun Chujo exclaimed and said anxiously, Oh my god, why can't my arms, legs and soles listen to me? You old bat, what the hell are you spitting out? Zhu Jingtai said arrogantly at the side. Yun Chujo, aren't you the darling of Tian Dao? Pooey. You revealed your true form when you met Shui Mo, right? Shui Mo spat out poisonous fog. Just wait for your death. Yun Chujo cursed in her heart. Reveal my true form. She wasn't some fox turned into a demon. Reveal my true form. This Zhu Jingtai had walked further and further on the road of courting death. She didn't even need to make a move. The students of Xingtian Academy would teach him a lesson. Although Yun Chujo thought so in her heart, she said, What? Is it the poisonous fog? It's over. Then won't I be dead? Hearing Yun Chujia's words, Zhu Jingtai became even more arrogant. Sir Blood Demon, this Yun Chujo is definitely in your bag. I think Shui Wuji and Jinji must be nearby. I'll go find them for you. Zhu Jingtai thought that Shui Mo would be very happy to hear that. He didn't expect Shui Mo to snort coldly. Take this back to the cave first. I'll come out to find the remaining two at night. Hearing Shui Mo's words, Yun Chujo was even more certain that Shui Mo must be afraid of the sunlight. This was even easier. If she could delay until the sun rose, she could definitely kill it. Thinking of this, Yun Chujo said to Shui Mo, Why do you have to drink my blood? I have a lot of spirit stones, I will give them all to you. Can you not drink my blood? Shui Mo curled his lips. You are indeed a stupid human. Cut the crap and follow me. As Shui Mo said this, its right arm suddenly expanded and grabbed towards Yun Chujia's neck. It thought that it would definitely hit Yun Chujo in one hit. After all, Yun Chujo had already been poisoned by its poisonous mist. Unexpectedly, its right hand was about to grab Yun Chujia's neck. Yun Chujia's body avoided its right hand at a strange angle. Damn it, old bat, are you serious? You want to drink my blood? Dream on. Yun Chujo said as she threw several bolts of lightning towards Shui Mo. Shui Mo subconsciously took a few steps back. Lightning was an extremely masculine and yang item. Its subconscious mind was very afraid of lightning. Yoon Chujia's eyes lit up. Haha, so you're afraid of my little Joe's thunderbolt. Then die. Yoon Chujio shot out several more purple bolts of lightning towards Shuemo. Shuemo saw that although Yoon Chujia's lightning was purple, its power was not very strong. He sneered and said, "Damn girl. Do you think I'm afraid of your little lightning bolts? I was just teasing you just now. Prepare to die." Shuemo spat out another mouthful of poisonous mist at Yoon Chujio as he spoke. Although his strength was extremely heaven-defying in the past, he had been suppressed for so many years and had just awakened. His strength was less than 1/100th of his previous strength. He could only rely on the poisonous mist to win. If Shuemo's strength was not greatly reduced now, he would not have failed to notice that there were many people hiding in the bushes in the distance. Shuemo had thought that Yoon Chujio would definitely become more stiff after the poisonous mist was sprayed out. Who would have thought that Yoon Chujio would not only not slow down, but become more active instead? Hey, you old bat, you still call yourself a Shuemo? Tui. I see that you are just a smelly bat who does not dare to see others. How can someone like you be called a demon? You are really shameless. If all demons are as cowardly as you, why don't you just change your name to Bastard Demon? Look at you, you're simply brainless. What kind of place is this? This is the place where the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe was born. You, an old bat, actually dared to behave atrociously here. I think you've had enough of living. Shuemo's aura kept howling. When had it ever been cursed like this? Even the person who had subdued it had never belittled it like this. However, it was just too weak now. Even after a long time, it was still unable to restrain Yoon Chujio. Shuemo glared at Zhu Jingtai at the side. You piece of trash. What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and help me catch this smelly girl. Zhu Jingtai, if you dare to help the old bat, I'll kill you. Yoon Chujio said fiercely. Zhu Jingtai couldn't help but shiver, but when he remembered the matter of kneeling to Yoon Chujio, he felt disgusted and said with a sinister smile, Bitch. You can't even protect yourself and you still dare to threaten me? Die. Yoon Chujio sneered. She was really courting death. It would be a waste if she didn't kill him today. Yoon Chujio had already probed the depth of Shuemo, so there was no need to hide it. She whistled, and the people who were lying in ambush rushed over. Shuemo was shocked. How was this possible? How did all these people escape? No wonder he felt that someone had touched the array formation. It was them. Zhu Jingtai almost collapsed to the ground. He knew that these people would not spare him, especially after he drank the blood of one of them. It was over. He could only hope that these people were not Shuemo's match. Otherwise, there was no way for him to survive. However, when he saw that those people had the same thing on their faces as Yoon Chujio, his heart turned cold. It was because of this mask that Yoon Chujio was not afraid of Shuemo's poisonous fog. Those people probably were not afraid of Shuemo's poisonous fog either. Those students followed Yoon Chujio's instructions and began to attack Shuemo with their spiritual power. Some students hated that Zhu Jingtai was in cahoots with Shuemo, so some directly attacked Shuemo with their spiritual power. Yoon Chujio had already jumped to the side and attacked Shuemo with the others. At this time, the sun had already risen from the east, and Shuemo's figure became a little faint. Shuemo was in a hurry to get away and rushed to the students in front of it, spitting out poisonous fog as it rushed. Stop it! It's already at the end of its flight. If we let it escape, there will be endless trouble in the future. Yoon Chujio hurriedly shouted to the others. Those students might have been caught by the Shuemo previously, so they had a shadow. Therefore, even though they heard Yoon Chujio's shout, they knew what to do. However, they could not help but avoid it. Yoon Chujio was so angry that she gritted her teeth. She could only let the little black bird curse. She was trying her best. The little black bird had cursed humans and demonic beasts before. However, this was the first time it had cursed a demon. She did not know whether it would be useful or not. Xiao Hanyo wasn't sure either. Shuemo wasn't like a human or a demon beast that was steady on the ground. Would it work? Xiao Hanyo didn't care and started to curse. Shuemo saw that everyone made a gap and ran towards it happily. At this moment it felt its body leaning forward involuntarily. Although its body wasn't solid, it slowed down when it leaned forward. Seeing this, Yun Chujo shot out several bolts of lightning at it. However, these bolts of lightning contained the small flame of the 10,000-year-old fire marrow. Yun Chujo had never thought about the small flame. She did not expect that the small flame would take the initiative to attack this time. Although Shuemo had sensed Yun Chujia's sneak attack from behind, it did not pay much attention to it. This little ant's strength was still very weak, so its damage was limited. The reason why it was in a hurry to escape was not because it was afraid of the students of Xingqian Academy, but because it was afraid of the sun in the sky. Thinking of this, Shuemo did not dodge at all. Instead, it prepared to continue running forward. Otherwise, as time passed, the stronger the sun's rays were, the greater the damage it would suffer. Therefore, Yun Chujia's lightning bolts and the small flame hidden within them struck Shuemo's back. Shuemo let out a shrill scream. Just like how it was afraid of Yun Chujia's lightning bolts, the 10,000-year-old fire marrow was also an extremely masculine and yang item. Shuemo's figure was instantly burned by the small flame, leaving a hole in it. Yun Chujia's eyes lit up. Io, the small flame was really something. Yun Chujo shouted at the crowd, "Fire spirit root, attack it together. Since it's afraid of the sun, it must be afraid of fire." The reason why Yun Chujo shouted like that was because firstly she felt that Shuemo was afraid of fire. Secondly, it was to hide the existence of small flames. After all, if the crowd could not see through it once, there would be a flaw if they used it a few more times. Those students were upset about their cowardice just now. When they heard Yun Chujia's words, the fire spirit root students immediately began to attack Shuemo. If they were not fire spirit root students, they might as well take out a fire fuse or fire stone to light something and throw it at Shuemo. The crowd picked up firewood and the flames were high. What if it was useful? Shuemo screamed miserably as he was burned. Several holes were burned on his body, and his figure became fainter and fainter. Just when everyone thought that they could burn him to death, Shuemo summoned several pieces of the shell of the godly axe. Those pieces formed a stone egg, and Shuemo's body turned into a wisp of red smoke and drilled into it. Everyone was stunned at first, and then they continued to use fire to attack. Yun Chujo also used lightning with a small flame, but the stone egg was extremely hard. There was not even a single crack. Everyone was dumbfounded. Everyone used axes to chop and fire to burn. They used all the methods they could, but they still could not break the stone egg. Even though they knew that Shuemo was hidden inside the stone egg, they still could not break it. Could it be that they could only let it go? Someone tried to activate the jade token, but it still did not work. It seemed that they had to kill this Shuemo before they could get out. Yun Chujo frowned. It was daytime now, and they could still use the sun to control the Shuemo. If it was nighttime, the Shuemo would definitely counterattack. At that time, all their efforts would be for naught. Since no one could open the stone egg, they vented their anger on Zhu Jingtai and beat him to death. Yun Chujo did not have the time to care about his life and death. All her attention was on the stone egg. How could she open the stone egg? Yun Chujo tried to use the small needle of spiritual power, but unfortunately, the small needle of spiritual power could not penetrate the stone egg at all. In fact, the stone egg was made of the shell of the Heaven Punisher divine axe, so it was naturally extremely hard. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was already evening. In less than 2 hours, the sun would set. What Yun Chujo thought of, everyone also thought of. Once the sun set, Shuemo would definitely make a comeback. What should they do? Yun Chujo, why don't we bury this stone egg? Bury it deep? A student said. Yun Chujo was speechless. Could she be any more stupid? Shuemo didn't have a physical body, so what was the point of burying it deep? Yun Chujo, why don't we throw this stone egg far away? As long as it can't find us before dawn, we won't be afraid of it. Yun Chujo felt that this idea was alright, but it was probably too late now. According to their speed, Shuemo could catch up to them in 2 hours. Moreover, this was a way to treat the symptoms but not the root of the problem. Even if they could avoid Shuemo, they would not be able to avoid him. When Yun Chujo told them her idea, Everyone immediately felt discouraged. This was not going to work either. Could it be that they could only wait for Shuemo to counterattack? Yun Chujio was also very angry. She looked at Sher Dan on the ground and scolded. No matter what, you used to be the shell of the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe. How can you protect a demon? Are you stupid? Yun Chujio was also desperate. It was unlikely that this piece of stone would have sentience. If it had sentience, it would not have been controlled by Shuemo. She was just venting her anger. The more Yun Chujio thought about it, the angrier she got. She kicked the stone egg. Perhaps she used too much strength, but she actually kicked the stone egg onto the stone wall. Then this guy sadly discovered that 2/3 of the stone egg was embedded in the stone wall. She wanted to pull the stone egg out, but no matter how hard she tried, she could not pull it out. This fellow stomped her feet in anger and subconsciously took out a large kitchen knife and slashed at the stone egg. The knife slashed down, and this fellow also regretted it. Although this large kitchen knife had been stolen from the Linghua sect's large kitchen, it had followed her for several years. Not only had it chopped firewood and cut demon beast meat, but it had also helped her extort quite a number of spirit stones. With this slash, this large kitchen knife was probably going to be crippled. However, because she was too angry, she used too much strength, and it was already too late for her to withdraw her hand. All of this happened in the midst of sparks. Yun Chujio only heard a clear clang sound, and the stone egg was actually cut into 2 halves. The stone egg once again turned into pieces, and Shuemo jumped out from within. The large kitchen knife in Yun Chujio's hand had slipped out of her hand because she used too much strength, and with a clang it fell to the ground. At this moment Shuemo was dumbfounded. It thought that it was safe to hide in the stone egg. When it came out at night, it would be able to take revenge. Who would have thought that the stone egg was broken? How could it be broken? It was obviously not a good time to consider this question. It grabbed Yun Chujio's neck. Yun Chujio was too surprised because of the broken eggshell, so she did not have time to react. Being ambushed by Shuemo, one could imagine the frustration in her heart. Jia, you stinky girl. I've never suffered such a huge loss before. However, as long as I drink your blood, my cultivation will recover a lot. The heavens don't want me to die. Shuemo shouted excitedly. Yun Chujio was strangled and couldn't speak at all. She could only keep flailing around like a chick being strangled. Everyone was stunned. No one had expected such a turn of events. What should they do now? Zhai Shanshan shouted, let's use fire to attack. We have to kill Shuemo first. Otherwise, when the sun sets, we will be dead. When Jinji heard what Zhai Shanshan said, she roared angrily, Little Joe is still in its hands. If it uses fire to attack, what will Little Joe do? Zhai Shanshan snorted coldly. This is something that cannot be helped. Do you want everyone to be buried with her? Jinji was trembling with anger. You are simply ungrateful. If it was not for Little Joe, would you have escaped from the cave? Now, you actually want to repay kindness with hatred. You are simply inhuman. 1 yard is 1 yard. I'm naturally grateful that she saved me, but now she can't be the cause of all of us being buried together, right? Don't you agree? Zhai Shanshan turned to ask the other students. Everyone's reactions were different. Although some did not say anything, they were already prepared to attack. It was obvious that they agreed with Zhai Shanshan's idea. Some people looked like they were struggling. It was obvious that they did not know if they were protecting their lives against their conscience or sticking to their morals. Some of them looked disapproving. They clearly felt that Zhai Shanshan's actions were no different from Zhu Jingtai's. Yun Chujio, this fellow, was being strangled by Shuemo. She actually had the leisure to record the performance of these people in the Black Book. It had to be said that this fellow's heart was big enough. This fellow knew that in order to recover her power, Shuemo would not kill her. It would feed her slowly and drink her blood. However, how could he escape? He could not really be killed by his own people, right? Shuemo heard what Zhai Shanshan said. He could not help but laugh strangely. Jia, I told you that humans are the most selfish and despicable species. You see, it's true, right? Stupid girl, what's the use of you saving them? In the end, don't they still have to sacrifice you? Some people could not help but look ashamed when they heard Shuemo's words. Yes, if they really sacrificed Yun Chujio, then what was the difference between them and a demon? Those who were initially hesitant, upon hearing Shuemo's words, became firm in their beliefs and stood on Jinji's side. Zhai Shanshan was afraid that the more time passed, the bigger the change would be. She said to those who agreed with her, "What are all of you still standing there for? Hurry up and use fire to attack Shuemo." Shui Wuji Jinji, and the others naturally would not let them do that. They blocked the way in front of them, and the situation was in a stalemate for a moment. Shuemo lowered his head and wanted to bite Yun Chujia's neck. No matter what, he wanted to drink some blood to replenish his strength. Just as Shuemo's mouth was about to touch Yun Chujia's neck, the large kitchen knife suddenly flew up from the ground and slashed at Shuemo. Shuemo felt the wind behind him, and he flicked his sleeve carelessly. He thought that he would definitely be able to deflect the large kitchen knife, but he did not expect that the moment the large kitchen knife hit his body, an intense tearing pain came from his body. It was even more painful than being burned by a small flame. Shuemo suddenly trembled, and he even let go of Yun Chujia's hand. He recalled the days when he was suppressed by the Heaven Punisher divine axe. Could it be? No, it was impossible. Shuemo did not continue to think because the kitchen knife seemed to have gone mad as it continued to hit his body. Wherever the kitchen knife slashed, Shuemo's body instantly turned into nothingness. Yun Chujio coughed for a while, and the small flame in her hand also hacked towards Shuemo. Damn it, it almost turned into its melodious beauty, burning you to death. The students of Xingtian Academy also reacted and began to fire at Shuemo. All kinds of fire-type attacks smashed towards Shuemo. Finally, Shuemo's body completely disappeared. The large kitchen knife fell to the ground with a clang, as if everything before was just an illusion. Someone tried to activate the Jade token and was actually teleported out. Zhai Shanshan and the others could not wait to activate the Jade token, afraid that Yun Chujio would seek revenge on them. Yun Chujio was not too anxious. It was obvious that the Shuemo had already dissipated. Even if they were lucky enough to survive, it would not cause any harm to them for a while. This fellow picked up the large kitchen knife and took a look. The large kitchen knife could actually split open the stone eggs, and even kill the Shuemo. Could it be the Xingtian godly axe? Yun Chujio shook her head. Couldn't be, right? Putting aside its appearance, this big kitchen knife was found in the Qingxian continent. How could the Heaven Punisher axe have come to the Qingxian continent? Yun Chujio couldn't figure it out for a moment, so she simply put away the big kitchen knife. Then, she very naturally put away the large pile of axe shell fragments on the ground into her storage ring. Although everyone saw it, they felt that Yun Chujio deserved it, so no one said anything. On the contrary, everyone thanked Yun Chujio for saving them. Yun Chujio saw that the rest of them had different opinions from Zhai Shanshan and the others, so she smiled and said to everyone, "I saved you once and you saved me just now. Let's call it even." Everyone was not stupid. They knew that Yun Chujio said this to make them feel better, and they felt even more grateful. They felt that the contempt they had for Yun Chujio in the past was extremely stupid. If it were not for Yun Chujio this time, they would definitely have died in this sinkhole. Yun Chujio was their savior. Yun Chujio saw that there was nothing else, and the sky was getting dark. She said to everyone, "Let's leave this place too. Otherwise, Zhai Shanshan and the others might change the truth. Li Huan, take Zhu Jingtai's body with you. Don't let others make a fuss over his death." Li Huan nodded. He put Zhu Jingtai's body into his storage ring as Yun Chujio said. Everyone activated their jade tokens and were teleported out. However, Yun Chujio and the other two strangely realized that while everyone else was out, the three of them were actually left behind. Fuck. They must have been tricked. If I find out who is behind this, I'll kill him. Yun Chujio was so angry that she threw her head back and roared. On the other side, after the Xingtian Academy students were sent out, they heard that Zhai Shanshan and the others were twisting black and white, and they immediately retorted angrily. The Divine X Square was already in a mess. Zhai Shanshan and the others had made up a story, and the students who came out later on made up another story. For a time, the teachers of Xingtian Academy were all confused. Shuemo? There was actually a Shuemo imprisoned in the Divine Axe crater. However, even though Zhai Shanshan and the others had twisted the truth, what kind of people were Ding Gongsun and the others? How could they not be able to tell the truth from the lies? Very quickly, the lies of Zhai Shanshan and the others were exposed. They were ordered to take care of them first before they were dealt with according to the rules of the academy. At this moment someone exclaimed, Yun Chuzhou and the other two actually did not come out. What should we do? At this moment everyone realized that there was really no trace of Yun Chuzhou and the other two. What was going on? Ding Gongsun frowned. Putting aside the fact that Yun Chuzhou was now the direct daughter of the Yi family, just because she saved everyone, she couldn't just stand by and watch as something happened to her. Teacher Pang, bring some people into the sinkhole and save them. Teacher Pang immediately ordered a few people to enter the teleportation array. He never expected that the teleportation array would explode with a bang. A thought appeared in everyone's mind. It was over. Yun Chuzhou and the other two would never be able to come out again. What's going on? This teleportation array is an ancient array formation. Why did it suddenly explode? The crowd was in an uproar. This ancient array formation was not something that could be repaired just like that. Without 3 to 5 years of time, it would not be able to be repaired. Moreover, it might not be able to be repaired at all. Yun Chuzhou and the other two might never be able to come out again. The first grade students pleaded one after another, Dean, you must think of a way. If it wasn't for Yun Chuzhou and the other two, we would have died inside. That's right, Dean, quickly find someone to repair the teleportation array formation. Although that Shui Mo has dissipated, he might not be dead yet. If we delay any longer, Yun Chuzhou and the others might lose their lives. Ding Gongsun gestured for everyone to calm down. Go back and wait for the news. We will think of a way to rescue Yun Chuzhou and the others. The students knew that it was useless for them to stay here, so they left the Divine Axe Plaza worriedly. Ding Gongsun immediately got his teacher, who was proficient in array formations, to check the teleportation array. Soon, an old man with a slight hunchback gave Ding Gongsun a look. Ding Gongsun understood and the two of them went to Ding Gongsun's study. Dean, according to common sense, this teleportation array is an ancient array formation and is very difficult to destroy. But this time it seems to be the self-destruction of the array formation, but I found this. The hunchbacked old man handed Ding Gongsun a small piece of charred fragment. Ding Gongsun took it and looked at it, then said in puzzlement, array leaf? The array formation has been destroyed. Isn't it normal to have fragments of array leaves? Although this array leaf is also drawn with ancient runes, the material of this array leaf is different from the original array leaf. Clearly, someone has tampered with the teleportation array. A fierce look flashed through the hunchbacked old man's eyes. He actually dared to tamper with the ancient teleportation array. What audacity! Ding Gongsun was both angry and angry. He frowned and asked, Elder Zhuang, I still have one more question. The teleportation array is under the Divine Axe statue. This Divine Axe statue requires the combined efforts of me and the 5 vice principals to move it. How did that person do it? The hunchbacked elder shook his head. I am also puzzled. Perhaps he tampered with it after the students entered. Furthermore, that person is clearly extremely proficient in ancient runes. He is probably even more proficient than me in ancient runes. I wonder what that person is hiding in the Sky Punisher Academy for. Elder Zhuang, let's keep this matter a secret for the time being to avoid alerting the enemy. How long will it take for the teleportation array to be repaired? Ding Gongsun sighed. After such a big incident, he could only personally make a trip to the Yi family. On the same day, Ding Gongsun set out to the Yi family. Old Master Yi heard a servant report that Ding Gongsun was here and was very puzzled. Why was this old thing here? Could it be that something had happened to little Nine? When Old Master Yi saw Ding Gongsun's expression, he had an ominous premonition in his heart. Did something happen to little Jiao? Ding Gongsun let out a long sigh and recounted what had happened. He did not hide the fact that he had discovered the array leaf. Old friend, don't worry. I will definitely give your Yi family an explanation. Moreover, Yoon Chujo is blessed with great fortune. She will definitely return safely in the future. Dean Gongsun felt his conscience ache when he said these words. 10 years. He had wasted such a good time. Moreover, what if she did not come out? Old Master Yi sat on the chair without saying a word for a long time. Was this great-granddaughter recognizing him back to test this old heart of his? It had only been more than a month since he had recognized her. Yet so many things had actually happened. Although Yoon Chujo was a little arrogant in the academy, she still did not have the ability to make such a big move to harm her. Old friend, do you have any suspects? Great-grandfather, yes. Pupils constricted. He recalled the matter that Yi Bingyu had sent back the last time. Could it be that it was Gu Shi or Lu Shi who was behind this again? Although great-grandfather Yi had doubts in his heart, he could not expose his family's dirty laundry. He could only say, I don't have any leads either. You can start with the formation disc first. You can definitely pull out the mastermind behind this. A faint light flashed in Dean Gongsun's eyes. He did not let go of the slight change in great-grandfather Yi's expression. He sighed in his heart. It seemed that the members of the Yi family did not all welcome Yoon Chujo. The two of them chatted for a while more before Dean Gongsun stood up and took his leave. Great-grandfather Yi returned to the study room and sat there in a daze for a while. If this continued, the Yi family would be finished sooner or later. Since that person was able to make a move in the Heaven Punisher Academy, it meant that he must be a teacher of the Heaven Punisher Academy. To be able to order that teacher to take risks and harm others, was it Gu Shi or Lu Shi? Old Master Yi took out a voice transmission talisman and said a few words. A moment later, an ordinary-looking man in black entered the room. Master, what orders do you have? The man in black felt his heart beating a little. They were the secret guards of the Yi family's secret guards. They were the Yi family's trump card. Unless the Yi family had an extremely important matter, they would not be used. Hey Cheong, bring some people to investigate Gu Shi and Lu Shi's recent actions. Find out if they are related to Little Joe's matter. Old Master Yi briefly recounted the incident where Yoon Chujo was robbed and the Divine Axe Heavenly Pit. Hei Cheong nodded in agreement. After he left Old Master Yi's study. Soon the Yi family learned that Yoon Chujo was trapped in the Divine Axe Heavenly Pit. Of course they did not know anything about the formation leaves. Min Shi and Yi Jiong were naturally very sad. Little Jo had just died in the beginning and now she was trapped in the Divine Axe Heavenly Pit. It was truly a disaster. When Yi Bingying heard the news, she was overjoyed. She hurriedly went to find Lu Shi. Mother, you're really amazing. Even if that little slut didn't die in there, she would still be out 10 years later. At that time, who would still remember her? Lu Shi's expression was complicated as she said, Bingying, although mother did arrange for someone at Xingqian Academy, that person didn't have the time to make a move. Yi Bingying was stunned. It wasn't arranged by you, mother? Could it be that grandmother sent someone to do it? Lu Shi shook her head. Last time your grandmother sent someone to intercept and kill Yoon Chujo. Although the old master and your grandfather didn't investigate further after that, your grandmother would have restrained herself. It doesn't seem like what your grandmother did. Since it wasn't you or grandmother, could it be that Yoon Chujo was really unlucky and that's why the array was broken? Haha. It's really retribution. Yi Bingying's expression was so excited that it was slightly distorted. During this period of time, her cultivation had not improved because of the inner demon Yoon Chujo. Now that that bitch had received retribution, she could finally cultivate in peace. Hei Cheong reported the contents of the report to Old Master Yi. Master, according to the information that Old Madam and Eldest Madam received, this matter should have nothing to do with them. However, the First Madam has indeed arranged for manpower in the Heaven Punisher Academy. We will find out the candidate as soon as possible. Great-grandfather Yi frowned. If it wasn't them, could it be that Little Jo had offended someone else? Let's hope that Tian Dao will bless and let Little Jo be safe and sound. A certain Jo in the Divine Axe Heavenly Pit was routinely cursing. Damn it! If this old lady finds out who set me up, I will definitely kill him. Jinji rolled her eyes. That's enough. You're not tired from cursing, But I'm tired from listening to you. I think this time it shouldn't be the artifact spirit of this heavenly pit. If there was an artifact spirit in this heavenly pit, would Shuemo be able to do whatever he wanted? I'm just trying to lure out the artifact spirit. After cursing for 2 days, there was still no movement. It seemed that this time it wasn't the artifact spirit's fault. Someone must be scamming us. It might be someone from the Gushur or Lushur. Yun Chujo sighed and said, at that time this guy was dreaming. After he left, he would definitely be thanked by everyone and praised by the academy. Furthermore, he would become the top student of the academy. He had even prepared his speech. In the end he was scammed. One could imagine how depressed this guy was. Xue Wuji walked over and advised, little sister Zhou Jinji, don't be too pessimistic. Perhaps the academy will send people to save us. Aya, if they could come down, they would have come down long ago. I reckon that there's something wrong with the teleportation array. Although we won't have to worry about eating and drinking here, I won't be able to see any gigolos in the future. If I can't get out, the gigolos that I've fattened up with great difficulty will be given to other fairies. The corners of Xue Wuji and Jinji's eyes twitched. Why did this word sound so awkward? A pretty boy that fattened up? It sounded more like a pig that fattened up. Jinji recalled that Enfeng's face had also turned pale, and Xue Wuji's mind was filled with thoughts of Pui. Why would this young master think of that damnable woman? For a moment, the three of them did not speak, and the atmosphere was very depressing. All right. Being pessimistic and sad is not going to solve the problem. I don't think we can count on the people outside. The pretty boy and Enfeng won't know about us for a while. I don't think the people from Xingtian Academy will be able to come in any time soon. Let's think of a way to save ourselves. Yun Chujia's self-recovery ability was very strong. Just a moment ago she was just a withered grass, but now she was fully recovered. Xue Wuji glanced at her. How do we save ourselves? We were transported here by a teleportation array. That means there's no exit here. TCH. Is there no exit in this world? If there's no door, we can go through the window. If there's no window, we can fucking make a window. I don't believe it. Even if we're inside an egg, we should be able to get out by breaking the eggshell, right? Yun Chujo straightened her back, she said confidently. Chapter 2366. Big Heart. Xue Wuji glanced at her again. Little sister Jiu, although I don't want to hurt you, we can't even find the eggshell now. Are you going to make the ground cold? Or are you going to make the stone wall cold? As the name suggested, the sinkhole was an irregular deep pit. It was surrounded by stone walls, so how could they get out? Yun Chujo pointed at the top. There's no way out from down there, but that doesn't mean there's no way out from up there. Let's climb up and see what's going on up there. Last time they didn't understand why they had come down because of Shuemo. Although they could only see stones, they might find something new in the distance. Xue Wuji and Jinji's spirits were lifted. Little Zhou's words made sense. There was no harm in going up and taking a look. If they encountered danger, they could just climb down again. Thus, the three of them climbed up the stone wall. Little Zhou, which way should we go? Jinji saw that there were rocks that stretched as far as the eye could see. For a moment, she didn't know which way to go. We should go east along the stone wall. If there's danger, we can climb down, Yun Chujo said. However, after saying that, this guy felt that something was wrong. If they went along the stone wall, wouldn't they be walking in a circle? Then they wouldn't be able to go east or west. They could only go south. However, if they encountered danger, they would have no way to avoid it. Then the question was, should they go or not? Yun Chujo shared her thoughts. Xue Wuji laughed. Little sister Jiu, we have no other choice anyway. What's there to hesitate about? Let's go. It's better than waiting here aimlessly. Yun Chujo giggled. That's what I meant as well. But after you guys taught me a lesson last time, I've learned to be cautious. Xue Wuji and Jinji almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This guy sounded nice, but he had learned to be cautious? This guy was afraid that they would blame her. So he deliberately let Xue Wuji make the decision. This guy was getting more and more shameless. The three of them chatted and laughed as they walked down the south. After walking for an entire day, they still saw rocks of all sizes. Not to mention demon beasts, they didn't even see a single plant. It's really strange. Slush down there. Why isn't there any grass growing up here? Jinji said in puzzlement. Either there's no water source, or there's something terrifying. But according to common sense, since this is the birthplace of the Heaven Punisher Divine Axe, there shouldn't be anything bad here, right? Yun Chujo didn't believe what she said. The previous Shui Mo was a good example. The next day, the three of them still found nothing. On the third day, they still saw rocks. The three of them couldn't help but feel discouraged. Not only did they see rocks, they couldn't even see the edge. Could it be that there was no end to this place? However, there was no way out. They could only continue forward. On the morning of the fourth day, the three of them realized that the sky was a little gloomy, as if it was going to rain. Little Jiao, could it be that the heavenly lightning is going to strike you? Jinji asked worriedly. Yun Chujo shook her head. These dark clouds don't have any pressure. It should be just ordinary rain. Wu Yun looked at Yun Chujo and said, it's going to rain. Since it's going to rain, let's take a day off today. Come give us a hand. Let's build an awning. Let's enjoy the rain while we roast meat inside. Feels great just thinking about it. Little Jiao, I've discovered that your greatest strength is your big heart. That's a terrible thing to say. This is called being strong, optimistic, tenacious, and fearless in my optimistic spirit. Chapter 2367. The rocks here will bloom. Yun Chujo and Jinji bickered while helping Shui Wuji build a awning. With ready-made wood and tools, a simple awning was quickly built. Yun Chujo disliked the rocks in the awning and used a shovel to move them outside. After cleaning up, the three of them set up a bonfire and began to roast meat. At this time, the rain fell pitter-patter. It seemed that it would not stop for a few hours. After the three of them ate the roast meat, Shui Wuji said, the journey these few days has been very tiring. You two can take a nap. I'll be on guard. Yun Chujo and Jinji did not stand on ceremony. At night, they were afraid that there would be demonic beasts, so they did not sleep well. It was perfect for catching up on sleep on rainy days. Just when Yun Chujo was sleeping soundly, she was woken up by Shui Wuji's surprised voice. Look! Yun Chujo opened her eyes and was stunned when she saw the scene in front of her. Jinji cried out in surprise, oh my god! These stones actually blossomed. The originally gray stones actually blossomed into beautiful flowers. Regardless of whether it was large stones or small stones, they all blossomed into beautiful flowers. Only some of the stones at the edge of the awning were still gray because they were not drenched in the rain. Yun Chujo recalled that in her previous life, there was a kind of fleshy flower called a raw stone flower. It usually looked like a stone, but when it reached the flowering period, it would bloom. Could it be that these stones were actually plants? Yun Chujo thought of this and picked up a stone at the edge. No matter how she looked at it, it was still a stone. She simply took the large kitchen knife and slashed at the stone. The stone actually let out a shrill scream. Its originally hard shell instantly turned into powder. Not only was it a plant, it was actually a living demonic plant. Yun Chujo and the other two immediately felt a huge crisis. If these demonic plants did not attack people, it would be fine. But if they attacked people, they would be dead for sure. There were all these demonic plants here. They had nowhere to run. Yun Chujo made a prompt decision. No matter what, since they can only bloom with rainwater, they should be afraid of fire. Let's build a bonfire just in case. The three of them built a few bonfires in the awning. Although it was very hot, it was still better than being attacked by the demonic plants. Jinji exclaimed again, oh my god! Not only can they bloom, they even bear fruit. Yun Chujo looked up and saw that some of the stones had already begun to wither and turn into small stones. Indeed, they were bearing fruit. Since they had already borne fruit, they probably wouldn't attack them, right? Soon, many of the stones began to bear fruit. One after another, they heard the sound of small stones falling to the ground. Yun Chujo and the other two stared at those stones. afraid that they would suddenly attack. For some reason, Yun Chujo thought of the poisonous grass at the bottom of the Heaven Dao cliff. These rocks were definitely not easy to deal with. Otherwise, there would not be any living things on them. Thinking of the Heaven Dao cliff, Yun Chujia's eyes lit up. She took out the small rock given to her by the Heaven Dao cliff and recited it according to the chant, but there was no response. She recited it again, but there was still no response. Fuck. The Tian Dao cliff was such an idiot. They were bragging so much, but now there was no way to contact it. If the Tian Dao cliff knew, they would probably die of injustice. The small rock would only be effective within 5,000 miles. Yun Chujo and the others were more than 5,000 miles away. Seeing that the small rock did not respond, Yun Chujo had no choice but to put the small rock away. Small 9. You look. Jinji's voice slightly trembling. Chapter 2368. Stone Golems. Yun Chujo looked in the direction of Jinji's finger, and saw that the stones that had already been formed began to gather and bounce before turning into large stones. No wonder there were small stones and large stones here. So that was how they were formed. However, this was not the source of Jinji's trembling. Those tall stones actually grew limbs and looked like people who were carved out of stone. The stone men walked towards the awning. Little Jiu, what are they doing here? Would you believe me if I said that they are here to have a friendly exchange with us? Yun Chujo bared her little white teeth and said. Jinji stomped her feet angrily. What time is it now? You still have the mood to joke around. What should we do now? Let's wait and see. The three of them stood in the middle of the awning, staring at the stone golems. More than 10 stone golems surrounded the awning, but they seemed to be afraid of the fire. They just stood outside the awning and did not move. Yun Chujo was just relieved when one of the stone golems stretched out its huge arm and slapped the awning. The rest of the stone men followed suit and the awning immediately collapsed. Fortunately, Yun Chujo and the other two reacted quickly and jumped out from the gap between the stone men. However, the bonfire was extinguished as soon as the rain was poured. Yun Chujo cursed in her heart. She didn't expect these stone men to have intelligence, which made them even more difficult to deal with. Hey, we're just passing by. We don't want to be enemies with you. Don't come over. Yun Chujo shouted at the stone men desperately. The stone golems squeaked as if they were mocking Yun Chujo. They chased after Yun Chujo and the other two. The three of them looked at each other. It was useless to run. There must be other stone golems somewhere else. They could only attack. The three of them attacked at the same time. Although the stone golems were huge, they were not very agile. Therefore, the three of them could barely deal with them. However, there was one thing that made Jinji and Xue Wuji very sullen. Although their attacks could block the stone golems, they could not cause any damage to them. On the other hand, on Yun Chujia's side, a bolt of lightning could chop off the arm of a stone golem. A few bolts of lightning could chop the stone golem into several small stones. Seeing that Xue Wuji and Jinji were helpless, Yun Chujo decided to bring out the little black bird and Xiao Hanio. Both of them were fire type, so they were more effective against Yao Ji. As expected, these stone golems were more afraid of fire type attacks, so they gradually began to retreat. Seeing this, Yun Chujo asked Xue Wuji and Jinji to build another awning. Then she lit a bonfire inside. Shi, Xiao Hanio, and Xiao Hong were on guard to prevent the stone golems from approaching. As the rain stopped, the small stones on the ground returned to their gray appearance. The hands and feet of the stone golems also shrank back, turning into ordinary large stones. Only then did Yun Chujo and the other two collapse onto the ground. They let out a sigh of relief in their hearts. Fortunately, the rain did not continue to fall. Otherwise, if all the stone men from other places gathered here, the three of them would have been exhausted to death. Little Joe, there are all these stone demonic plants here. Will there be an end? Jinji could not help but feel a little discouraged. There will definitely be an end. All living things in the world are mutually reinforcing and counter each other. If there is no end to these stone demonic plants, wouldn't it be heaven-defying? Yun Chujo said until here. A thought flashed through her mind, but it was too fast. Before she could catch it, it slipped away. Chapter 2369. A small flame filled with food. The three of them rested for a while and continued walking forward. In the past, it was fine if they didn't know that these stones were demonic plants. Now they felt uneasy as they walked, afraid that these demonic plants would suddenly attack them. However, the three of them realized that these demonic plants seemed to only change when it rained. Normally, they were no different from stones, so they were more or less relieved. Little Jiao, have you noticed? It seems to be getting hotter and hotter, Jinji said while wiping her sweat. Yun Chujo had a flash of inspiration. She remembered. Didn't I say something before? Look, these rocks are becoming more and more sparse, and the temperature is getting hotter and hotter. I'm afraid there's a volcano in front of us. Jinji sat down on the ground. It's over. Even if that volcano is the end, we can't cross it. Xue Wuji looked a little dejected. Yes, if there was a volcano in front of them, they couldn't fly here, and they wouldn't be able to cross it even if they reached the front. Don't be discouraged. Let's go over and take a look first. If it's a volcano formed from fire marrow, it'll get the little flame to collect the fire marrow, and we'll have a way out. If it's just an ordinary volcano, well, just return. Yun Chujo had the fire-repelling pearl. She could pass through. But she couldn't leave Jinji and Xue Wuji alone. Jinji and Xue Wuji nodded and the three of them continued walking. The weather was getting hotter and hotter. There were almost no strange stones left. Instead, a large desert was in their place. Yun Chujo gave Xue Wuji and Jinji a few beads of Guai Chao. Only then did the two of them feel much better. After walking for another day, they could see a mountain range that stretched for miles in the distance. It was dark and did not look like a volcanic eruption. After walking for another 3 days, the three of them finally arrived at the foot of the mountain. The ground was filled with rising heat waves. Fortunately, the three of them were cultivators, or else they would have been roasted. Yun Chujo asked Jinji and Xue Wuji to wait a little further away. She walked to the front of the mountain and looked carefully. The situation here was somewhat similar to the situation when she found the small flame. She did not know if there was fire marrow here. When Yun Chujo was knocking around, the small flame flew out of Yun Chujia's right palm with a whoosh and jumped into a stone wall. Yun Chujo was delighted. It seemed like there was a chance. In less than 15 minutes, the small flame jumped out. Without waiting for Yun Chujo to say anything, it jumped into another stone wall. After another 15 minutes, the small flame jumped out again and then jumped into another stone wall. Yun Chujo hugged her shoulders and watched the small flame jump around like a hard-working bee. Seemed to have grown bigger. It seemed like there was really fire marrow in it. However, judging from the time, the fire marrow in it should not be too strong. Otherwise, it would not have been swallowed by the little flame so easily. Perhaps it was because the fire marrow had been swallowed by the little flame. Yun Chujo felt that the temperature had started to drop. Yun Chujo frowned. This was the barrier of the stones. If the fire marrow was swallowed by the little flame, the stones would definitely flood. Hence, Yun Chujo shouted at the little flame, "All right, that's enough. Leave some or those stones will break out of prison." The little flame acted as if it did not hear her and continued to run around. What a joke. If there was food but not food, could it be that they were left for the new year? Chapter 2370 was out. Yun Chujo shouted several times, but the little flame acted as if it did not hear her. It continued to act as it wished and ran around, determined to eat up all the fire marrow here. Yun Chujo was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Since it was useless, she could only use her hands. So when the little flame jumped out again, Yun Chujo caught the little flame. "Do you know that fire will die for food? If these stones run outside to cause trouble because of you, You will bear the karma, and you will never be able to transform into a human again. Perhaps it was because of Yoon Chujia's threat. The little flame obediently went into Yoon Chujia's right palm. However, Yoon Chujio could feel the little flame's unwillingness in her spiritual sense. Pooey! What a foodie! Xue Wuji and Jin Ji felt the temperature drop and rushed over. Little Jiu, is there really fire marrow in here? Yoon Chujio nodded and said, when the temperature of the mountain in front drops a little, we will hurry over. Little Jiu, the fire marrow in this mountain range has been eaten by the little flame. Will it become a gap? Jin Ji asked worriedly. Don't worry. Those rocks are far away from here, and they can only move on rainy days. By the time they react, the fire marrow in the other mountain ranges should have already occupied this place. Another 2 days had passed. Although the mountain was very hot, it was still possible to use spiritual power to protect their bodies. The three of them decided to start moving. When Xue Wuji and Jin Ji's spiritual power could not hold on any longer, Yoon Chujio took turns carrying them. Although Xue Wuji felt a little embarrassed, he did not care about his face anymore in order to survive anyway. This guy was also reckless. It took the three of them 2 days to walk out of the mountain range that was full of bare rocks. Then they came to a desert. Although the temperature in the desert was very high, to Jinji and Xue Wuji, it was already like a fairyland. The three of them walked for another 2 days. Sparse plants began to appear on the ground. The sound of water could be heard from afar. The three of them were invigorated and quickened their steps. Finally, they saw a valley full of vitality. Spiritual plants, trees, and streams. It was extremely cordial to look at. The three of them walked to the edge of the stream and drank a few mouthfuls of water. They suddenly felt refreshed and refreshed. They did not know if it was because of psychological effects, but they felt that the stream water was very sweet. At the same time, Yoon Chujio and Jin Ji noticed that the sound transmission talisman in their storage rings started to vibrate. The two of them looked at each other and jumped up and down in surprise. The sound transmission talisman had a reaction, which meant that they had already left the Divine Axe Heavenly Pit. After the two of them were excited, they took out the voice transmission talisman to check. As expected, it was sent by Di Biming and Enfong. A few days ago, Di Biming and Enfong had just killed a wave of enemies. Di Biming sent a voice transmission talisman to Yoon Chujio, and found that no one replied. However, when he remembered that Yoon Chujio had once told him that they were going to the Heavenly Pit to conduct a test for 10 days, he was not too anxious. However, after counting the 10 days that had passed, there was still no reply. This made him a little worried. Yoon Chujio simply told him what had happened. Prince Charming, we have already left the sinkhole. We just don't know where we are. We will tell you when we have confirmed our location. On the other side, Di Biming and Enfong were surrounded by another wave of enemies. They could only reply briefly before they started fighting again. If it was an ordinary girl who had just escaped death and her beloved simply comforted her and ignored her, she would definitely be furious. However, a certain Jo had always liked to level up by herself, and she had been trying her best to fulfill her 3-year promise. So, after a short loss, she was revived with full health again. Chapter 2371. Holy Stream. It had to be said that birds of a feather flock together. Jinji was also a heartless person. After putting away the voice transmission talisman, she said with a smile, "Little Jo, we can play truant openly. After we have wandered enough, we can go back to the academy." Xue Wuji also echoed from the side, "That's right. This time we narrowly escaped death. We have to travel around the mountains and rivers to heal my wounds. I was actually piggybacked by Little Jo several times. How embarrassing." Yoon Chujio was about to speak when she felt someone approaching. The three of them immediately raised their vigilance and looked into the distance. Yoon Chujio lowered her head and grabbed 2 handfuls of soil. She wiped it on her face and then motioned for Xue Wuji and Jinji to wipe the soil on their faces as well. Although Xue Wuji and Jin Ji did not quite understand Yun Chujia's meaning, they still followed her instructions. Two people ran over from afar. One of them shouted angrily while running, "Hey! Stay away from the Fan family's sacred stream." Fan family? Sacred stream? Fortunately, the three of them had drunk water just now and were some distance away from the stream. Otherwise, they would really be caught red-handed. The two of them ran to the front and looked at the three of them unhappily. "How did you get into the back mountain of our Fan family? Don't you know that this is our Fan family's territory?" Yun Chujo said in surprise. "Oh my God! This is the back mountain of the Fan family? We are lost. We don't know what happened. We couldn't get out no matter how hard we tried. We almost died in the desert in front of us. Benefactors, it's so good to see you. Please help us get out." Xue Wuji and Jin Ji were used to Yun Chujia's acting skills being online at any time. Therefore, the two of them showed a pleasantly surprised expression and cooperated seamlessly. The two of them looked at each other and one of them said, "Entered by mistake? There are people guarding the back of the mountain. How did you enter by mistake? Tell me, what is your purpose?" Yun Chujo looked innocent. "You two have seen it too. Our spiritual power is so low, what can we do? Unless we don't want to live anymore, that's why we are seeking death." "Brotherly, I don't think they're lying. Weren't there lightning and thunder a few days ago? I think they entered by mistake." One of them guessed. The other frowned. "That's possible. What should we do now? Should we hand them over to the higher-ups or let them go? If we're not afraid of polluting the sacred stream, we should just kill them." Yun Chujia's eyes darkened. Kill them? If they dared to make a move, who knew who would die? Brothers, meeting each other is fate. We don't have anything good on us. You two can buy some tea with these spiritual stones. Yun Chujo pretended to transfer a portion of the spiritual stones from Xue Wuji and Jin Ji, and gave them 50,000 upper-grade spiritual stones each. Naturally, it wouldn't work if it was too much. It would easily trigger their greed, and they might even kill them for their wealth. Since it wouldn't work if it was too little, they might as well not give it to them. After receiving the spirit stones, their attitude softened a little. When they saw the miserable appearance of Yun Chujo and the other two, and the clothes they were wearing weren't of any expensive material, they guessed that they only had so many spirit stones on them. "Forget it. Since we're in a good mood today, we'll spare you. Come with us and we'll send you out." One of them curled his lips and said. Yun Chujo and the other two naturally thanked him profusely and followed the two out. Yun Chujo rejoiced in her heart. Fortunately, the three of them had already changed out of the Xingqian Academy's clothes. Otherwise, it would have been easy to get into trouble. Although she didn't know if this Fan family was the Fan family that Yi Xinwan had married into, it was very likely that the Fan family was the super aristocratic family that had such a large backhill. It was better to not provoke them. Chapter 2372. Fan Mingchuan Yun Chujo, and the other two followed the two men out. Yun Chujo said fawningly, "The fact that the two big brothers are able to work in the Fan family is really enviable. Unlike us, who have low spiritual power and are unable to enter the Fan family." One of them snorted coldly, "Of course. The Fan family is a super aristocratic family. Trash like you naturally cannot enter." Yun Chujia's heart skipped a beat. It was indeed the Fan family that Yi Xinwan married. Yi Xinwan was capable of snatching her stepsister's fiancé. She was probably not a good person. It was better to leave this place as soon as possible. Yun Chujo saw the entrance to the back of the mountain from afar. Before she could breathe a sigh of relief, she saw a young man walking towards her, followed by 8 followers. "Oh no! Why is young Master Mingchuan here? Be more tactful later. If you offend young Master Mingchuan, not only you but we will all die, do you hear me?" The garlic nose said fiercely. Yun Chujia's heart tightened. Young Master Mingchuan? Could it be that Fan Mingchuan who was born from Yi Xianwan? It was really a narrow road for enemies. Yun Chujo silently sized up Fan Mingchuan a few times. No wonder old Master Yi said that he was highly regarded by the head of the Fan family. He did not look like an ignorant silk pants. However, if that was the case, it would be very difficult to fool him. He might even be charged with breaking into the back of the mountain. If he revealed his identity and was worried that Yi Xinwan would attack him, he would really be in a dilemma. Fan Mingchuan frowned when he saw Yun Chujiu and the other two. The three of them looked disheveled and their faces were gray. Moreover, their spiritual power was very low. What was going on? Chen, who are they? This is the forbidden area of the back mountain. How can there be outsiders? Fan Mingchuan asked unhappily with a gloomy face. Young Master Mingchuan, the two of us found them when we were patrolling. They said that they accidentally entered the back mountain a few days ago when there was lightning and thunder. Then they got lost. The garlic nose nodded and bowed. Fan Mingchuan frowned. Everyone within a radius of 100 li knows that this mountain range belongs to our Fan family. It's strictly forbidden to go near it. Why are you guys going near it? Tell us. Fan Mingchuan used his coercion when he spoke. The legs of the garlic nose and Jinji felt a little weak, and they almost knelt down. Xue Wuji and Jinji were slightly uncomfortable, and Yun Chujiu was fine. However, when they saw the garlic nose and Jinji, they pretended to tremble slightly. This young master, we didn't mean to get close to this mountain range. You know, the situation that day was too terrible. We wanted to find a place to hide, but we were too scared. In addition, the sky was dark, so we approached this mountain range in a daze and ran into it in a panic. We wanted to come out, but we chose the wrong direction and walked into the desert. We were almost roasted into dried meat, and just when we returned, we met these two benefactors. Yun Chujiu made up a lie based on the information they revealed. Fan Mingchuan frowned. You came out of the desert? Yun Chujiu nodded. Yes, look, we still have sand on us. If you didn't come out of the desert, we can let you live. Tie you up and find a place to kill you. Don't dirty the back of the mountain, Fan Mingchuan said coldly. Fuck. For the first time, she made up a story about a hornet's nest. Yun Chujiu asked in horror, Young master, you have to let us die. What's wrong with the desert? There's nothing in it. Chapter 2373 was sent to the mine. Fan Mingchuan snorted coldly. It's fine for you guys to enter the desert, but it's extremely hot inside the desert. After you guys came out of the desert and saw the holy water, how could you not drink it? If you secretly drink our Fan family's holy water, kill without mercy. Yun Chujiu cursed in her heart. Damn it. Your Fan family's holy water. Are you shameless? That was clearly a stream water. How did it become your Fan family's? Although Yun Chujiu was angry in her heart, but on the surface she said aggrievedly, Young master, you really wronged us. Because our spiritual power is low, we have a very ample reserve of resources. In addition, we didn't encounter a single demonic beast in the valley, so we didn't dare to drink the stream water, afraid that something was wrong. As Yun Chujiu spoke, she took out 3 large water vats filled with water, proving that she wasn't lying. The garlic nose leaned over and took a sip. Young Master Mingchuan, this is indeed not the taste of our holy water. I was once rewarded with a cup of it, and the taste was comparable to immortal dew. This is just ordinary water. Moreover, when we discovered them, they were still some distance away from the stream, so they probably didn't drink the holy water secretly. Garlic Nose was afraid that if Fan Mingchuan really wanted to kill Yun Chujiu and the other two, Yun Chujiu and the other two would jump over the wall and say that they had bribed them, so he tried his best to excuse them. Fan Mingchuan's face was gloomy as he said to the attendant behind him, These two are not suitable for patrolling in the back mountain. Send them along with these 3 to the mine. Garlic Nose and the other two immediately knelt on the ground. Young Master Mingchuan, please spare our lives. Young Master Mingchuan, although we accepted their spirit stones, we only dared to accept them after we found out that they didn't drink the holy water secretly. Please spare our lives. Yun Chujiu pursed her lips in her heart. These two were really stupid. If they did not say that there was still some room for reconciliation, then they had to go or not. Sure enough, Fan Mingchuan did not even look at the two of them. He waved at the guards behind him, indicating for them to take them away. Shui Wuji and Jinji stole a glance at Yun Chuzhou. When they saw that Yun Chuzhou did not have any reaction, they did not resist and left the back mountain with the 4 guards. Yun Chuzhou naturally wanted to escape, but she could not see through the spiritual powers of the 4 guards. Moreover, this was clearly the Fan family's territory. If they were to use force, there was no chance of victory. She could only take one step at a time. If it really did not work out, she would get Di Biming to send a message to Old Master Yi. Yun Chuzhou was very regretful now. Why did she not think of asking Old Master Yi or Yi Bingyu for the sound transmission talisman? How stupid! Yun Chuzhou originally thought that the mine that Fan Mingchuan mentioned was very far from here. She did not expect to see a mine after leaving the back of the mountain and walking a few dozen miles to the side. There were many guards guarding the entrance of the mine. One of the guards who sent them here said to a small leader, "These two made a mistake. These 3 trespassed into the back of the mountain. I'll leave them to you." After the guard finished speaking, he left with his men. The small leader did not pay attention to the 2 people with the garlic nose. Instead, he sized up Yun Chuzhou and Jinji. A lustful look flashed across his eyes. Although these 2 girls' faces were dirty. However, the girls in the mine were either old or ugly. It was rare to meet 2 beautiful girls. He could find an opportunity to have some fun. The leader had a few thoughts in his mind. Then he said to a guard, "They are new here. I don't think they know how to mine. Let them go to the canteen to help with the cooking first. We will let them mine with us in 2 days." Chapter 2374. Lighting a fire, the guard agreed and brought Yun Chuzhou and the others to the canteen. As this was a spirit stone mine, one could not use talismans or formation plates to blast the ore when mining. One could only rely on manpower to dig the ore. Therefore, there were many miners in this mine. As there were many people, the canteen was not small. The guard handed Yun Chuzhou and the others over to the canteen manager. After briefly explaining the situation, he turned around and left. The steward of the canteen sized up Yun Chuzhou and the others. "What are your specialties? We don't want useless people in the canteen." Yun Chuzhou raised her claws and said, "The 3 of us used to burn the fire. We know very well what kind of dishes and how to cook them." The steward of the canteen asked Yun Chuzhou a few questions about burning the fire, and Yun Chuzhou answered them smoothly. The steward was very satisfied. "Not bad. Then the 3 of you will be responsible for the fire. The 6 stoves on the east side will be your responsibility. If anything goes wrong, humph. Don't worry, we will do our duty. We will do our best to light the fire." Yun Chuzhou promised repeatedly. This guy said that it was true that many skills did not weigh on one's body. He did not expect that the fire-burning skills would be useful at the critical moment. The steward saw that Yun Chuzhou was obedient and his expression softened. He looked at the 2 men and asked, "What do you know?" The 2 of them looked at each other. They had never cooked before and knew nothing about the affairs of the canteen. The steward curled his lips and said, "Since you don't know anything, then do the physical work. See that pile of wood? Go chop it. I don't keep idle people here." The garlic-nosed duo had obviously heard of the rules of the mine before. They did not dare to have any doubts and obediently agreed. Immediately, the steward brought Yun Chuzhou and the other 2 to the canteen and told the little steward who was in charge of the stove. Yun Chuzhou and the other 2 started to light the fire. Shui Wuji and Jinji had never done such a rough job before. They did not know where to start. Fortunately, Yun Chuzhou had been a handyman for a period of time, so she was familiar with it. She helped to guide the miners, so she was able to muddle through it. As the miners had exhausted a lot of their physical strength, the meals prepared in the canteen were all meat dishes, and the smell was very fragrant. After the dishes were prepared, Special people were sent to deliver and fetch the meals for the miners. After lunch, the people in the canteen began to prepare dinner. They did not stop for even a second. Yun Chujio and the other two did not have the chance to talk to each other alone. They could only communicate with their eyes. Yun Chujio signaled Xue Wuji and Jinji to calm down. There were at least 20 guards guarding the door, and their spiritual power was not low. There were many guards patrolling the mine, so it was basically impossible to rush out. Finally, they were done with dinner. The steward looked at Yun Chujio and the other two. There are dormitories behind the canteen. There are 6 men in one room and 4 women in one room. You can stay in whichever room you see fit. Yun Chujio gave the steward a look. Steward, I have an important matter to ask you. Do you think you could talk in private? The steward immediately understood. He brought Yun Chujio to a corner and asked arrogantly, "What do you want?" Steward, this is 10,000 high-grade spirit stones. Do you think you can let the 3 of us live together? The 3 of us are siblings. We can take care of each other if we stay together. Yun Chujio passed the 10,000 high-grade spirit stones to the steward. She pleaded. Forget it. You guys are quite pitiful. The room at the end is empty. The 3 of you can live there. The steward curled his lips and said. Chapter 2375 Disguises. Yun Chujio said a lot of nice things, and the canteen manager left with a belly full. Yun Chujio brought Jinji and Jinji to the empty room that the canteen manager mentioned. The conditions were naturally very simple, but at least they did not have to squeeze together with others. It was more convenient to talk. The 3 of them cleaned briefly, and then began to discuss the next step of their plan. Jinji was just about to speak when Yun Chujio shook her head at her, indicating for the 3 of them to use the voice transmission talisman to communicate. Little Joe, what should we do next? Inform your excellency? Jinji asked. When we were talking earlier, they seem to have encountered some trouble. I'm afraid they won't be able to escape for a while. Let's see the situation first. If it doesn't work, well, inform them again. I'll just ask Old Master Yi or Yi Bingyu for a voice transmission talisman. How stupid! Yun Chujio said in annoyance. Xue Wuji's brows were tightly knitted. Little Sister Joe, this place is heavily guarded. It's basically impossible to rush out. I'm afraid that there's no other way apart from letting that expressionless D Biming come and save us. It's not like there's no chance at all. I still have some netherworld powder in my hands. Coincidentally, we're still in the canteen, so if we find an opportunity to enter the food, we'll be able to escape. However, this is the Fan family's territory. I'm afraid that we won't be able to run far before we are captured. Oh right, these are disguising pills. Eat them to avoid trouble in the future. It'll teach you another set of cultivation methods to change your spiritual roots. Especially Brother Wuji. It's too easy for people to recognize you as a mutated wind spiritual root. After Yun Chujio finished speaking, she gave Jinji and Xue Wuji half a disguising pill each. This way they could last for at least 5 days. Xue Wuji and Jinji were both smart people. They quickly learned the cultivation method that Yun Chujio had taught them to change their spirit roots. Only then did the 3 of them go to bed to rest. Of course, the ones who went to bed to rest were Yun Chujio and Jinji. Xue Wuji could only sleep on the ground. Moreover, he had to be on night duty in the first half of the night. The next day before dawn, the 3 of them got up and went to the canteen to start the fire. Yun Chujio found joy in her misery as she recalled the days when she was in the Linghua sect. She did not expect that she would become a fire-burning servant again in her lifetime. After a busy morning, the 3 of them had just sat down to eat breakfast when they saw the little leader that they had met at the door the day before walking over unsteadily. The little leader could not help but feel a little disappointed when he saw the appearance of Yun Chujio and Jinji after their disguises. Originally, after taking the disguising pills, their appearances were very ordinary. In addition, Yoon Chujo and Jin Ji had deliberately disguised themselves to look ugly. Therefore, one could imagine how honorable they were. Although the leader was disappointed, he thought about it. No matter what, these two were little girls. Whether they looked good or not would be the same at night. When the leader thought of this, he asked with a fake smile, "Are you two ladies used to it?" Yoon Chujo said with a hoarse voice, "It's quite good. As long as we have a meal, it's fine." The leader frowned. Why was his voice so unpleasant? The canteen is the easiest job in this spirit stone mine. If I didn't see that you're new here, you wouldn't have such a good job. If you can make me happy, you can always stay in the canteen. If you're stubborn, humph, then go to the mine to mine. The leader reached out his hand to touch Yoon Chujio's face. Yoon Chujo leaned to the side and said submissively, "You must be joking, sir. The three of us have always been stubborn. Otherwise, we wouldn't have fallen to such a state." Chapter 2376. Miners. The leader was so embarrassed that he flew into a rage. "Fine. Since you guys like to mine, go and mine now." The steward's eyes flashed. He laughed and said, "Leader Lu, why are you so angry this early in the morning? These three are new here, so they are not very sensible. Give me a few days and I will help to enlighten them. Maybe they will come around." The steward of the canteen had his own plans. He also wanted to extract some spiritual stones from Yoon Chujio and the others, so he stopped them. The little leader seemed to be a little afraid of the steward of the canteen. He snorted coldly from his nose, "Forget it, I will give you face this time. You guys better be careful. If you dare to do anything, I will kill you." After saying that, the leader left with a cold face. Yoon Chujio and the other two naturally thanked the steward. The steward said with a faint smile, "I can protect you this time, but I may not be able to protect you next time. You can count on your own luck." Yoon Chujio's eyelashes were empty, so she naturally knew that the steward was trying to extort them. She bit her lips and found an excuse to call the steward to the side. "Sir, to be honest, the three of us are from a poor family. We don't have many spiritual stones on us to begin with. Yesterday we even gave Chan Chujio and the others 50,000 high-grade spiritual stones each. Therefore, don't think that 10,000 high-grade spiritual stones is too little. Please take care of us in the future." Hearing Yoon Chujio's words, the steward's eyes flashed. "As long as you don't cause trouble, I will naturally take care of you. Go back." Yoon Chujio caught a glimpse of the steward going to look for the garlic-nosed two people. She was secretly happy. Let them fight like dogs. That night, the three returned to the dormitory. Shue Wuji took out a voice transmission talisman and said, "Little Jiu, it can't go on like this. I see that the little leader is not willing to give up on you and Jinji. Maybe he will do something. We have to finish this quickly. How about this? Tomorrow we'll think of a way to get the job of delivering food. We'll take a look inside and then make plans." Yoon Chujio vaguely had the intention of killing two birds with one stone, but she still needed to see the actual situation. At noon the next day, Yoon Chujio glibly asked for the job of delivering food. Yoon Chujio and the other two rushed to the mining area with a few people from the canteen. Yoon Chujio finally understood why they were so afraid of being miners. The miners were all sweating, and there were guards with whips behind them. If they didn't like someone, they would whip them. They were like cows and horses. Yoon Chujio found that most of the miners' spiritual power was above hers. She didn't know why these people became miners. They were definitely not hired, because if they were hired, they would not be whipped and not dare to resist. Perhaps some of them had made mistakes, just like the garlic nose and the others. Where did the rest come from? When the manager of the mine saw that the canteen had come to deliver the food, he allowed the miners to take a short break for 15 minutes. Yoon Chujio cursed in her heart. They really did not treat these miners as human beings. What was 15 minutes enough for? Fortunately, the main food in the canteen was steamed buns. They only needed to help the miners with the dishes. The miners wolfed down their food, afraid that they wouldn't have any food because of the overtime. Yoon Chujo noticed that among these miners, there were two very special people. One of them was a middle-aged strong man. His upper body was naked and his back was full of whip marks. It was obvious that he was not obedient. After he received the steamed buns and stewed meat, he did not eat them himself. Instead, he respectfully handed them to an old man. Then he came over to receive another set. Chapter 2377. A strange old man. The old man was very thin, but his eyes were calm. He did not eat like the others, but instead, he seemed to be strolling leisurely. Yoon Chujo looked at the old man and felt that he looked very familiar. She seemed to have seen him somewhere before, but how could she have seen him before? Just as Yoon Chujo was thinking about it, the old man raised his head and looked at Yoon Chujo as if he had sensed something. Then the mantou in his hand fell to the ground. In just a moment, the old man picked up the steamed bun and ate it naturally, as if it was just an accident. However, Yoon Chujo caught the surprised look in the old man's eyes. Did he know me? Yoon Chujo's mind was a mess, but before she could think of anything, the miners had finished their meal. Yoon Chujo had to leave with the people from the canteen. Not far away, she heard someone cursing, "You old thing. Everyone else has finished eating, but you eat the slowest. Your work is useless. What is the meaning of living like this?" Yoon Chujo turned her head and saw a guard throwing a whip at the old man. The strong man protected the old man in front of him and took the whip head-on. The brawny man turned his head and glared at the guard. The guard was scared and took a few steps back. He cursed a few times and then turned to leave. Yoon Chujo rolled her eyes and caught up with the people in the canteen. She said with a smile, "Is there something wrong with that brawny man's brain? Why would he take the whip for that old man? Could he be the son of that old man?" People love to gossip regardless of their identity, and the people in the canteen were no exception. One of them said, "That strong man seems to be called the old man's benefactor. I guess the old man has given him favors in the past." Let me tell you, the rest of the people in this mine were all caught and brought in. That old man and that strong man actually requested to be brought in by themselves. Do you think they are sick? What the hell? They requested to be brought in by themselves? Are they stupid? Yoon Chujo cooperated and revealed a surprised expression. The person who spoke immediately felt extremely satisfied. He lowered his voice and said, "This is absolutely true. I heard from the guards that the old man and the strong man actually went to the entrance of the mine to beg for food. Naturally, they were brought in." Yoon Chujo agreed with a few words. She thought that the old man and the strong man were the ones who requested to be brought in. She thought that they were crying and shouting to be miners. However, it was also true. If that was the case, the people in the mine would suspect that the two of them had some ulterior motive. "Uncle, the three of us were caught because we broke into the back of the mountain." "Why were you caught?" Yoon Chujo asked in a low voice. "Sigh. Don't mention it. I really agree with the old saying, when the city gate is on fire, the fish in the pond will be affected. I was originally a guard of the Liu family. The Liu family was a third-class family. Because of some things they offended the Fan family. In the end they were wiped out. We guards were captured and brought here to be miners. That's really unfortunate. What about the rest?" Most of them were guards of the family that was wiped out by the Fan family. There were also some servants of the Fan family who made mistakes. There were also some who offended the Fan family. "What about your original masters?" Yoon Chujo continued to ask curiously. That person smiled bitterly. "Little girl, you are really naive. Those old masters were naturally killed. Otherwise, how could they be at ease with us guards?" You're tuning in to the Lee May Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.